Welcome back, everyone, to the Rainbow Rumble.
That's who you want as your opening pick. Duck could dive around this bottom chassis, and he will win his one. Vaulting the catwalk on the side of Booster, but it's going to be a flurry of kill feed.
This is looking pretty good, but that's good for Mercury.
Basically, it's passion.
Gets the diffuser down. Shed there with a covering angle as well. Jacques now got one back, but can't quite get away from it.
He gets the kill, and it's a 1v1 weapon.
It is siege, isn't it?
Hello everybody and welcome back to Challenger Series. We continue on with our actions, and my good friends Hap and Chamberlain have swapped sides on the camera today. Just early, we're keeping everybody on their tippy toes. Maybe they noticed that there was indeed a change. Well, my friends, there's been a lot that has happened since 24 hours ago, really. It's a lot of changes and a lot of things that are impacting the Challenger Series, and thus far EML also, as it gets ready to kick things off. Yesterday we focused on the lower bracket. Today we turn our attention to a qualification match, the upper bracket grand final. Whoever takes this series makes it into EML. Simple as that. There's a little looky here. Maestro Esca and Gigliotti are in there. And no, there are not two Italian teams, but there are 6 Italian players between these two teams. 5 of them on one on the other. I'll let you guess which is which. And if anything, I'm just going to let Chamberlain explain to us a bit about these two teams before we get into things.
Yeah, both these teams, they have a bit of history. You know, we are well aware of what happened last year in terms of Matchgo coming through after an absolute stormer of a year, playing so well as a full Italian roster, getting qualified into EML. It didn't quite go to their expectations last year. They had some good, decent games, but they never really kind of got going. They did make it that change. They brought Raiden in last year and replacing Ghost Riddick for the second stage of EML last year. Ghost Riddick is the one, I will be the spoiler, Milos, I'll tell people who's what. Gigliotti is the one that has most of the Italians. In fact, they're all Italian, 5 of them. Maestro Esca has 1, but the history is that Ghost Riddick, the one that was replaced by Raiden last year in Stage 2 for the Matchgo core, is the one that's on Maestro Esca playing against his former teammates. So that's the fun part of it. Yes, Gigliotti have made some changes. They brought a couple of extra players in. They brought Zarami in, as well as Riaz to replace Teb, and I believe it was Raiden as well that they dropped as well at the same time. So they've made some changes, and I think that I'm really excited for this iteration of the Italian roster. I'm also excited for just the kind of cobbled togetherness of Maestro Esca, because it's a lot of names that have been littered through Tier 2 for the last few years, and I like to see them all come together to formulate a roster that has managed to take quite a few big scalps so far.
Well, Hap, Maestro Esca is kind of this trend of teams that we've been seeing over the past 2 or 3 years in Europe, where it's no longer teams with only one nationality that are triumphing. It's kind of this mix of everybody really embodying just the spirit of Siege all between one another.
Yeah, for sure. And, if we start looking back, of course, we had all these national leagues, the 9 national leagues that we had in Europe, which basically not really forced, but did definitely incentivize teams to go for a single nationality or a mix of them for at least the 3-5 core to qualify for Challenge League that way. It's no longer the case, of course. We have the new Tier 2 circuit, which means that these mixed teams have a real opportunity again to just qualify. It's no longer just the national leagues you have to go through. And I mean, this is where I think Europe shines. There is a lot of different countries, there's a lot of different languages, but most of us do speak English, of course, which often is going to be that main language in these teams. I don't think they'll speak Italian or French for the 2 players out there, but but this gives you the opportunity to just pick and choose from the best players of every single country to just formulate that team that just clicks well together.
Yeah, you kind of try to prioritize the fact that you want people and players to mix well together and to actually end up forming a proper coordinated team, which is what you need to get to this level of competition. We get to see all sorts of quality, including massive upsets. One would call Team Heretics' loss yesterday to Team Secret Academy, Certified Skids being knocked out, also Diavolo being knocked out. This is just the lower bracket runs of all these teams, so you can tell the quality of competition really is on another level, and that includes the 2 at the top. Discussing today, our veto is ready, so let's take a look at it together, see where the series will go. As always, a 3-mapper might be what we expect. Really, I think we would be lost for words if we did not go the distance in this case. First 4 bands in, we'll get our first pick here, and because they're using the same exact logo, we're gonna have to go through the websites for just a second here to really tell you exactly who went.
I can take a guess. I can take a guess
Yeah.
what I think there will be.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that it'll be Maestro Esca that's picked onto Fortress, with the GG picking onto Chalet because they pick onto
Okay.
Giulietta.
So
I was right. Haha. See, there we go. We got it confirmed. I was correct. Yes.
What?
Fortress is Maestro Esca's pick. Giulietta, like Chalet. I'm not too surprised to see this. My whole point that I have behind me is that Maestro Esca are a team that like to play on those kind of off maps. They like to play. They've been undefeated so far on Lair. They've been fantastic on it. So I was kind of thinking, I was like, they might float a Fortress here today, and they have. So I'm here for this.
still a lot to explore happen. Fortress.
Yeah, but we did see Giglietti play them, of course, against Heretics, where they managed to get an 8-7 victory on Fortress. So that is definitely something that will have been looked at here as they are going over towards that map first. It's a big map. It is a new map, or relatively new map, of course, still around. So it's always going to be interesting, because when the map just got added to the pool, you enter that kind of like exploration phase. Some teams are way ahead of the competition, others are still trying to manifest themselves into that map, try and get their own groove. So I'm hoping to see two teams that feel super confident going into Fortress, but more often than not, that's not actually going to be the case when one of these maps comes around.
We might be going into a map 3 in this. Clubhouse was banned by Giglietti, which left us with our decider of Bank. Who knows if we end up getting in there? I would not be surprised, my friends. Though, when it comes to Fortress, we've been discussing over the past, really specifically yesterday, all three of us, of, what sort of operator bans are we expecting to have an influence on the match? Now, taking a look at the history of these two squads and what they could potentially offer on a map like Fortress Cham, what really spring forwards as these are the 3 ops that this side or this one will be banning throughout these halves?
I think when maps are newer and people haven't kind of figured out it, you tend to just trend towards the standard kind of band. You tend to just float against the stuff that you know is going to work. You know someone's going to need it, so you'll probably see your Kaids, your bandits, the double up of those to take removed. Probably some shields, I would imagine. I think Fortress is a really strong map for shields. There's a lot of doorways you have to push. I think that top floor museum, that corner, the amount of times I've seen a Montaigne trying to push through that doorway just to try and clear out the player that's normally there. It's one of those ones where they're pretty standard on a bans. I don't think to be expecting anything crazy, but Hap's probably going to jump in and be like, yeah, I'm expecting there to be a Caveira ban or something like that.
No, definitely not. Like, when you're playing these newer maps, you want to make sure that what you're playing is going to be predictable. So things that you want to take away could be either information, think of Valkyrie, but also the architect operators, Izami, Mira. They can really just completely change up those sites, which, you haven't had too many repetitions in yet compared to the other maps, so you want things to be predictable. I agree on the shields, that they are strong operators in general, especially with these long hallways that we have in Fortress. Just sending over a Montaigne, of course, can buy you so much space. But we might also just see other operators' flank watches to be removed if they want to go for a bit more of an aggressive stance. Think of Nomad, for example, or Gridlock.
Yeah, we're going to have to get into the server really to tell, and we're going to set the theory crafting aside for a bit here as we head into Fortress, see how things will be explored in this matchup. The grand final, the upper bracket here of Challenger Series, and EML is one team, the victor of this match, that will advance on and play in the next stage of EML, will be in the circuit for 2026. A dream come true for many. That's only where the work just starts. Please, my friends, take it away, Hap Chamberlain, for map number 1.
Oh, Hap, I am so excited to get into this game. We're qualifying a team to EML today. One of these teams will be a tier 1 team at the end of today, and I am so ecstatic for all of them. Giglietti have already, most of that roster have had their go of it last year. Maestro Esca, only Ghost Riddick there, and Evan being the ones that have been in there before. I like the little eclectic mix that we've got going on in Maestro Esca. They've been quite a surprise factor coming into this, I think.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, of course, was looking at Heretics being the team that has played at Six Invitational. Everybody was looking at Secret Academy, of course, because they have been doing quite well. Certified Skids, Diavoli, Milos called them out before. There have been teams that have been doing so incredibly well in that Tier 2 scene over the entire year. But all of them kind of been pushed aside by these two teams. We're now battling it out for that very first qualification spot into the EML. At least there is a bit of a consolation for the team that will lose here today. I'm just going to straight out point it out. They still have another opportunity tomorrow where they'll be facing Team Secret Academy. So everything is gained, but nothing is fully lost yet with this game.
Exactly. That's exactly it. The good thing is they do have a little bit of history. Both these teams, they have played each other before in Swiss, and it was Chalet that came out on top in that, but it was a hard-fought game. 2-1 was what they won, and they just have to go to overtime on that last map. So very, very fine margins in that game. I expect a bit more from this. Top floor hold already. Command is where we have decided to go for, or Commander's office if you want to go for the full callouts, you know. We haven't had, this is the thing about new maps and the new map pool, we haven't all decided on what we're calling what yet. So we'll use the map ones until we figure out, until someone goes crazy and gets a massive 5k in the corner, something like that, and then we're like, yeah, we'll call that the den spot from now on.
It's like for a while, of course, we had like the standardized map calls being attempted to be created by, I think, like 4 or 5 different prominent people in the scene, and it never really comes off the ground. Just EU and NA can't seem to agree on what the actual calls are supposed to be, so we kind of just have to make it up on the spot as we move through. As Riddick very close to actually catching off the Ella there. Moved in, saw the gun, smokes are now coming out as well. Might actually be a bit of a trigger point here for Riaz to try and push up and see if that window is going to be accessible. But fallback already coming through there from the attackers, not really wanting to overstep here in the very first part of this round.
The kill goes to Maestro Esca's Ranker fells Lolo, but there's an immediate response and the kill feed starts to light up as everybody gets in on the action. Zarami and Riaz are the only 2 left alive, and as the words leave my lips, it's just Riaz on his lonesome. He will get a swing it and a down onto Jay, and now Ghost Riddic's attempting to go for the plant inside his site. Has to rush back and see if he can reclaim this, but they have to be careful inside his site that they don't move too quickly and get caught out by Riaz on the return. There's chasers there, so they won't know roughly where each other are. In the 30 seconds now, Riaz has managed to take a bit of ground back inside a bathroom, but doesn't know where anybody is, you know, don't know where the Blackbeard is, but unfortunately doesn't realise Ghost Riddic's so close, and Maestro Esca, they'll open up this score on Fortress with a round on the attack.
Yeah, well done to them there. They, was a bit chaotic at the start when kills start coming in from left, right, and center, but they were still pushing on towards that side. They were still pushing on towards the main rotation points, catching off more defenders than they lost on the attacking side. From there on, just get the diffuser down, get that on the ground. You'll focus on just playing that one out. So 1-0 on the attack. And I think that's an important statistic to mention as well. Historically speaking, when maps get added to the map pool, for the first year or so, they are always defense-sided. It's just the way it goes.
Yes, indeed.
So getting these early attacking rounds in is only going to be helpful for Maestro Esca.
Especially on maps like Fortress as well, it is quite a beefy map. There is quite a lot you have to get through, so it's no surprise that it would be a bit more defender-sided. So that is a nice, good start for Maestro Esca. I do think that was maybe a little bit more, kind of too much of an extension from Gigi-Oleti. They were just quite far on the other side of the map. They were all the way over in dorms when the site was on the other side for quite a long time, and there wasn't really as much fallback. It kind of felt like they wanted to just fight as much as possible, but it tends to be the case on this top floor that museum point is really a really big point of contention, no matter which site you want to go for, just because it gives you that control in that big long corridor and you can get comfortable. Now though, more shield action coming through, courtesy of Evan, who is regarded as one of the best IGLs currently in Tier 2. And well, technically Tier 1 last year, as he had got back up, of course. But a flip-flop in between back and forward, but everyone within the scene regards Evan very highly in his ability to guide teams, and that's happening just right in front of us. Maestro Esca, a team that did not exist before this competition at all. 5 players that have barely played together, but well known throughout the scene. Of course, Jay, Denster, been to a couple of lands, Ghost Riddick as well over the last year or so. Ranker folding in as well, well known throughout the scene. This first minute of the second round passing by relatively inconsequential. Ghost Riddick will get the opening pick though. Lolo's the next one to fall. That's the second opening death for him here. Zakwe at least has a response. Ranker's got themselves a double kill in this round though, and Zarami and Riaz, the two new players, find themselves in a 2 versus 4, and just as finish that sentence, it's just Riaz yet again. Maestro Eska really just steamrolling over the top of Giglioletti right now. They can't deal with anything. Riaz is trying to fight his way back in. Evan getting the diffuser down. He's Deimos tracked. He's been held on doorways. Jay is there and from behind. And Maestro Eska, they chained together 2 attacks here on Fortress.
This is, I mean, this round was a bit more clear on what exactly was happening, right? Because what you saw was a bit of, okay, so a push is being made here. Defenders respond, but by responding, they move themselves into a line of sight of a different attacker and get themselves caught up. So, you know, over the last couple of years, we've heard split theory around, you know, I'm just going to bring it back here. That was what was happening here. We had like 4 or 5 people attacking from different angles, and as soon as defenders tried to respond, they didn't have the full information on where these attackers were located in the map. They actually moved themselves into those lines of sight, and from there on it just crumbles, right? Because if one falls, that's okay, right? That isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. If then a second one drops, suddenly there's a lot more space for the attackers to start moving around with, and a lot less buddy for you to try and bring it back. And from there on, it just escalates, it just snowballs, and that's exactly what we saw in that round. They were just setting up, most of them were still outside the building, but as soon as that first kill came through, it was the defenders maybe over-responding, not fully sure, but they didn't have the information required to move into the spaces they were taking. So with that said, if that is again going to be the case in this next round, an operator like Valkyrie could be quite useful, you know, just get that extra bit of information out. You gotta know where they are if they're inside that building, and that was definitely lacking in that last round.
This round, however, down to one of the bottom 4 sites this time, opting to continue going through the rotation. But focus as an extension out to Hammam here for Akwe. There was a bit of a presence on the top for a moment. So Jay's just going to force his way in through the courtyard side. Guided in there by Evan on the shields yet again. I did say at the start that I thought we'd see quite a bit of shields in that. Exactly what we'll see on Fortress. Type him up for it, charging straight through. Absolutely no idea the amount of pressure that he's under. Ghost Riddick will get a couple. Eventually he's felled. It's 3 versus 3. Evan continues to storm through the site. Doesn't realise there's a player on his right, and that was a very quick push there from Maestro Eska, but it unfortunately has not worked out for them because it's left Ranker in a 1 versus 3. And we're only 1 minute into the round half. I don't think there's going to be much else he can do. Almost steps back into that thorn trap. I think this will teeter out unless he can pull an absolutely incredible clutch out of his back pocket here. What do you think?
It feels a bit odd, right? Because everything seemed to be going well. They had those 2 kills very early on, which is a single trade. The Blitz continues to push through, maybe steps over a little bit, as he will get 1 for his effort, still 2 to find. The rest of his team just fell apart right after him. Not quite sure from where exactly that took place. It's up to Ranker now to try and see if he can clutch this out. Default chems will be removed, its information given as well, and he's really just running around a corner, running around the map. Into music, into gun, another Razor Bloom that will give away a little bit of the game. And they should be aware fully at this point of where this approach is coming from Ranker. Managed to get himself on the other side of the room that he was just in, adjacent, a second ago. With a minute left on the clock, there's so much time for him to do what needs to be done. He takes out those default cams. He's just blinding out as he spots out one of those players. Wise from Zeremy to not try and stick that fight, to just fall off, not actually go and escalate that at that moment in time. Zlolo as well was just holding and waiting patiently as Ranker, who found himself in the middle of the kitchen, he seems to be aware that there is a player around there. Spots him as well through the opening in the wall, but is unable to get the shots out. The diffuser can soon be recovered. The question is, can they actually get a plan down as well? Because the site is actually the one that's being guarded by the side of Giglioletti.
Yeah, he's going to attempt to go for something here. He's not given up just yet. But the prone angle, unfortunately, will betray him. Lolo are ready for it, and Giglioletti, they will get their first defense on the board here on Fortress. Albeit a bit chaotic there from Maestro Eska. They tried to make something stick, and for a long time it did look like it was going to be successful, but Giglioletti, they managed to quell the storm. And they get their round. So, it's not a runaway train as of yet. That'll be a nice little boost to the mental there. Get them started a round on the board, you know? and some extra bands come through. I imagine a shield logo maybe. Ooh, the glass. That's an interesting one. I wasn't expecting that.
Not sure how I feel about that one. I mean, they tried it, didn't really work out in the first round. And now it's banned, so we're not going to see that again.
Yeah.
Something. Have we seen the Zami? Yeah, we did actually early in
Yeah,
that
a couple
round.
of Zamis. I think the Zami one's
taken out.
I think Zami's always a strong operator. I think they're more so going for, because there are a couple of times where they've tried to push in with the shield and there's been a keep a barricade on the door that slowed them down. So I think that's probably what that idea is there. Not too mad at that one. The glass band's the one I'm a bit like, huh. But listen, I'm not on the server. I don't understand, you know. And I don't speak Italian for one as well, so I'll be useless in that stack.
Well, 2 rounds is already a great start though for Maestro Esca, and I mean, if they manage to get 1 or 2 more, I think they've already secured themselves the perfect half that they could hope for. Of course, a 6-0, you know, is always the wish, but realistically speaking, not gonna happen. And with that, and with how that last round went, I mean, there was a lot of potential in that round. It's just that I don't know where the rest of the attacking team fell apart except for the Blitz. All happened behind us.
Yeah. It's the beauty of a rush though, it's chaotic, no one knows what's happening. Top floor yet again, up to Commander's office. Bathroom is where the focus is for the defence. Bit of moving around, Denari up as well. Lots and lots of traps. Denari, Fenrir, Thorn and Ella. A little bit of Warden sprinkled in for Zarami so you can take some gunfights here. The MPX swinging onto this window, trying to contest as long as possible. Last time they held this, they did extend quite far out. They wanted to hold onto that side of the map as long as possible. This time, this is what I criticised them for. They didn't fall back quick enough, and I think this time they've done that.
First minute passes, no one really taking any damage yet. Everything has gone quite passive so far. Zarami aware of one of these doors. I mean, the issue here is there could just be a shield bashing through any of these doors in any given time, as Riddick will find the very first Aki taken out. Second kill, third kill, everything suddenly just falling apart once more on the side of Giglioletti. And this is something that we've seen in those first 2 rounds and to some extent in the very third. This kind of comes back to who has been in control, Champ, because I don't think there is any question whatsoever on who has been leading these first 3 rounds. Yes, there is a single round on the board for Giglioletti, but in general, it's just been Maestro Esca overwhelming the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Dora's trying to take a gunfight, trying to buy his way back into the round, but Jay's there to punish him at the top of the staircase as they now have control of that museum side. Lolo in a corner, surely going to get a free kill here. Yep, around corner, checking his corners and check his mirrors. What a shot that is. Beautifully done from Lolo. Connects 2 or 3 in a row. Lolo! He's found a lifeline in the round. He knows that there's going to be cover on this defuse. He knows that there's a player close by going for that diffuser, and it is live and hot. It's going to be difficult to fight back now that that is on the deck. Not a lot of HP. One singular bullet from any gun will finish him off, but he wants to try and isolate these 2. It would be a huge, absolutely massive round from him if he was to win it, but he can't get it done. Good enough effort from him, but Maestro Esca, they closed that one out. 3 rounds now on Fortress to the 1 of Giglioletti.
I was gonna say, like, that must have, like, if he would have aced that must have been like the very first ace that I've ever seen with that CZ pistol.
Yeah.
That was an incredible 3 kills that he just managed to just rain in.
Beautiful.
One after another. Just pure skill out there. There was nothing that those attackers could have done to not have died there. Like, they tried to take the fight, but their head was just the first one to find a bullet instantly as they turned the corner. But Maestro Esca still in pure control. 3-1. I don't think they're too worried whatsoever on how this game is going so far. You know, they are happy to be here on Fortress. They are showing they are happy to be here. And at the start of this, I said, like, usually these new maps are defense-sided. Could still become that way if Giglioletti is able to find 2 more rounds in that defense. Maestro Esca then, you know, finding 3 or 4 would turn out to be defense-sided. But, you know, sometimes you just have that one team that just loves that new map so much, has played it so often, that they are just no match for any of the opponents they're going up against. And some of these attacking rounds have definitely felt like that, where they managed to get a kill, and 2 seconds later, the entire team implodes on the opposing side.
Yeah, and I really want to commend Ghost Riddick so far as well, having an absolutely phenomenal start here in Fortress. You know, last year, under the banner of Matchgo, they promoted Ghost into their roster. They brought him out, you know, he very much deemed a ranked star, and they wanted to give him a chance in his first kind of competitive scene, and it worked out so well. They stormed through T2, they got into Tier 1, but he just didn't quite hit the highs that was needed for that Tier 1 level, and was ultimately swapped out for Raiden at Stage 2, and now... So he's on a little bit of a revenge path here against his previous teammates, and so far it's working out in his favour. Hold towards that tower staircase on the other side there. Some utilities being established late, some reinforcements being popped down as well here from Chalet as they get players into position. Seems as though high contest for bathroom is about to begin, as that wall fully reinforced. You can see just outside Riaz, just to the left here, Dora protected so that you can get some bandit trick action going on. But for now, Courtyard seems to be getting a bit more action. Stenster and Ranker look to link up on that side.
Pings coming through, the information is there, they're just waiting to find that very first pick. The first 90 seconds have passed, and this could be leading into one of those swings. Izaki playing around on the horse statue. Nitrocell comes out, doesn't quite catch anything. Almost a double to come through. Denster will be confirmed. It's a one-on-one trade. Is Evan low on HP? Reyes going quite low as well, as he is finally taken down by Evan afterwards. So a 1-man advantage here for Maestroesca with 1:10 left on the clock. The last few members playing in and adjacent to the site itself. They will be there to protect it with everything they got, but that means there's no more width whatsoever now. It's all just going to come down through these doorways, and they need to hold them off, and that's not been the strongest suit for them in these last couple rounds.
Bathroom wall is now beginning to be open up. C4 still in the pocket of Zarami, which could be huge for denying this push coming through. That's where they want to go for the plant. You've got the shotgun on the other side from Lolo behind the bed, just waiting for anyone to come in from that doorway. But Zarami really is the linchpin for the rest of this round, holding on just behind Bathroom. They've still got control of Museum, though. That's a really big thing for this round for Gigiolet. Acqui still in that corner. That they haven't been able to get comfortable on that side, so this is going to be a bit more one-dimensional than what Maestroesca would have liked. C4 is prepped and ready to go over. Down to 20 seconds, though, Hap. This is getting close. Evans HP, he's very, very close to death. They need to get moving here. Maestroesca hidden behind the bed. He will swing it. Lolo's patience is rewarded. Shuts down one. Can he shut down another? Red time is upon us as we get down to the last few seconds. Lolo goes huge in the round. Ghost is finally killed off, and Zarami's position is held. Gigioleti, they hold strong for another round on their defense.
Yeah, well done to them there, picking up that second round on that defense. That is crucial. Gives them that extra bit of a lifeline later on as we head towards the future rounds, towards that second half soon. And with that, Maestroesca kind of falling flat in those final seconds there. They'd always being held off by a shotgun. They weren't quite able to get that little bit of the punch ready that they had in previous rounds. It's mainly because Gigioleti decided to fall back and play it safe, play it internal, and not focus on that roam as much anymore.
But exactly. I criticised them a little bit just on the last thing. Of course, it's a different site, I guess, right? But it felt as though they were playing a bit more reserved and a bit more kind of in set position, set areas, because Fortress is a game of power positions. Most maps tend to be on siege, but this one very much is. They held onto Museum for so long, and that corridor just outside the bathroom, and those are really, really strong positions to hold on for a long time. And holding on till the late game means that you then have to force through doorways, and Lolo just gets to sweep up the round because they're like, okay, we have to do something. We can't get in and past that pillar behind bathroom, so we're just going to have to go through a doorway and see if we can force the issue, and it doesn't work out. So really well done. Nice adjustment. Gets Gigioleti onto the pace of the game, I think, a bit more, but still behind on the round count. Still a great start for Maestroesca, and still a lot more shields on the board, and Denster has some sinister intentions in his pocket, I think, here for this operator.
What do you mean, sinister? There's nothing sinister about that grappling hook.
Nothing at all.
Let's see how that will end up. Jay sneaking about as well. You seem soft walking around with that Reaper.
Candelas will be coming in. That could often be a first push for the team to come in. Grenades to follow in from Evan right after as well. Denster has the Gera hook out, is not quite deploying it yet. Probably waiting for all of these flashbangs and smokes to start popping through. A Shay will go down. The Gera hook gets deployed. The shields are about to join the battle as well.
Fenster's been shut down, unfortunately. That entire plan, it seems to have collapsed on its face. Acme's went huge as well, arriving to the gunfights. But this is really just going to be exit frags here for Ranker unless he can pull something absolutely massive. Half HP on a blitz. What we want to be, and they haven't been able to get much done in terms of opening up walls and getting pressure. They try to go for something a bit more direct than we're halfway through the round, and it's only Ranker just decides to force it. Let's even get something at Lolo there to sweep it up for Gigiolette, who connect to defensive rounds in a row. Look a bit better for it, but now the half switch, and I think Maestro will be happy with that anyway. I think both teams will be kind of be like, yeah, that's it's fine. I don't think anyone's getting away with this really.
Yeah, Maestro, Eska, of course, they managed to get those 3 rounds in on the attack on a new map that's super decent. Gigiolette, they managed to get those final few rounds to bring the momentum into their favor, but also to stop Maestro from running away. So they salvaged everything they could from that round. So I think both of them indeed will be content with how things went. There's lots of shields being banned, the Mira as well. Look, we're both right with our ban predictions out here.
Yeah. It's so validated right now. So validated. I think it's like, again, safe though. You know, it's as I said right at the start, that Fortress is a great map for shields, like Nighthaven. Any map that has doors basically that lead you directly or close to the site is always going to be a map where people are going to want to have shields, where it's just going to, you can just force into here and take quite easy control because they're really hard to contest. You're always going to see them played, so it's no surprise to me to see the double shield ban. 3 shields banned as well. Like it.
I was going to say, like, if you would have just stopped, like, any map that has doors, it's great for shields. It was like, okay, every map.
yeah, don't worry. I had a fleshed out point. Before I started that. Don't you worry.
But I mean, like, we saw the shield being used quite a bit, of course, in these last rounds, and we've also seen it being hit in the side quite a bit, because Fortress, of course, there is quite a bit of clutter, there's quite a lot of corners. It isn't just, bringing the shield and it's an instant win. You actually need to make sure that you're not running into those issues that we've seen in those last rounds. And now with that double ban, it is going to be the Blackbeard, of course, still available. Technically the Fuse shield as well, if they would really want to go crazy. But we're not in that part of the meta at this point. It's a while back.
Oh, let's use shield action. Well, that's a little bit of fun sometimes. Museum being the point of pressure to start things off here for Gigiolette is, of course, one of the strong points on the defense here just outside the site. There is that extension towards the Dom side at the same time from the defenders. And a hop in the window to start things off, Lolo dropping down that old tower. Want to get the pressure from above as Riaz supports just outside of that dormitory site. Akwi, the first one to get on the board for the kill counter in this round as Jay falls. That's the Ella removed and one of the roamers gone with it. There's still 2 players out there for Maestresca, still wanting to contest this side of the map for that a while longer.
Switch
What
drone
have you spotted that?
wasn't going for the bended wires that were placed on that wall. Just kept going for something else. Of course, they do have a Maestro. It's another way to deal with those issues. Echo Drone actually in a great position. As long as Evan can keep that there, as soon as that Blackbeard will be moving through that door, a stun can come through, can stagger that shield, and suddenly that could be a surprising factor you do not expect to happen. So that shield and the Yokai drone basically worst enemy. See, he's inside now. He's actually not going for the stun. He needs to go chase with that Yokai because he needs to protect his teammates. Waiting for the next door to be pushed. 2 of them pushing into it as well. The double stun to come through. However, Brea's able to take out one of the defenders and the other just scoots out, not going to stick around and deciding to play time instead with 50 seconds on the clock. Player
advantage still in control of Gigiolette. corridor here being held by Ranker is just waits for someone to hop through that breach into bathroom. And a really strong point to hold. A little bit of a pinch point on the map. So he wants to push back up. They can try and contest it as long as possible. Got someone coming around the corner. He goes for more. Can he get a second? Nope. Dora there. Wise to it. Punished for that just teeny bit extra aggression they wanted to take there, but you've still got the echo drones and there's only 20 seconds. You've still got the smoke babes as well. Another one in pocket here for Ghost Riddick. This could be absolutely huge. Needs to time it to perfection. It's left 5 seconds on the clock to get through that other door. You can hear the diffuser going off as Lolo now is attempting to get it down, but there's the echo to deny. Has to try and stick it through, continue going through, but it's going to cycle through the echo drones, and surely this is going to be decided on the echo. Lolo's got back onto it. Evan's going to have to rush back in. They're going to have to try and kill him and deny it. Aqui's dead. The cover's gone, and that'll be the round in the hands of Maestro Esca.
I mean, at that point, there was no other option than just to continue planting at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't get off, because that would have been round over as well. Good stuff there, of course, with the yokai drones causing the panic, making sure that the 000 was hit, which means that the attackers, they need to get in there to physically body block it, physically be there to support their planter to make sure that that diffuser goes down. So well done by Maestro Esca there. There were men down, but they had resources left. They used the smoke babes early. They then had the yokai drones, of course, 2 of them in position to stop or stall that plant for just long enough to make sure that they are able to pick that up. So well done there by them. Great defensive round in the end. It was a little bit scrappy in the early stages, but you know, getting those rounds is what matters at this point. You're not playing for a round differential. You're just playing for round wins. You're playing for map wins at this point.
I think it showed a bit of a better way to hold that top floor as well, because Giglioletti did try a few times to go for that extension quite far out to dorms and hold as long as possible, but Maestro Esca did it a bit better. They managed to hold on. They used the bandit combination to hold on to that extra bit of the map control before fading back. And yeah, there was a lot of bodies dropped here away, but it was the time factor. You waste as much time as possible. That's what gives you that ability to get it down to the last 30 seconds and then let your echoes and your smokes shine. Oh, now we begin action on round number 8. That's like crazy in terms of operator picks. It's gonna immediately jump in on me again. Still going for the thread, you know, following along on the shield meta that we're setting up here for Fortress Lolo, the next one that's in charge of taking up that mantle. We have Blackbeard that has appeared. Gridlock as well, getting a little run out, you know, a little bit of Gridlock action. I am partial to it, you know. But it makes me feel like I'm doing something, because I'm just like, yeah, I put my track slinger somewhere.
Again, it's a big map. It's very prone to potential flanks to come through, so having those tracks is actually going to be quite valuable, I'd say. That's the reason why I said that we might even see one of them banned at some point, just to make sure that the defense would have the opportunity to rotate around. Now, I'm not sure if I still stand by it at this point, because we haven't really seen Nomad or Gridlock up until this round.
Yeah.
And it's another 2 rounds before we see another Benta come through. That drone saw his own death. That's very sad.
Just immediately spun around. I appreciate the angle that was being held there for a moment. Aura has the sound of the KB call coming through. You can see them all dashing away, not wanting to be too close to the person that's going to funnel in from museum side. Reinforcement's gone up as well, really nicely timed as well from Jay. Let's just start the fade away back towards the site. See everybody shuffling around, getting into different positions, getting things set up now for the aggression to start coming in directly onto the site. Final minute approaches here, Hap.
We need to push through. The freeze coming out from this auto canister as well is going to keep them at bay just a little bit longer. Minute left, Zermi will be able to take the very first. That's Avon gone off the board. Position retaken by Ranker. Has to be careful though, because there is that shield coming through. Gets the head. That's great. Azaki will find Jay as well. 45 seconds. A team kill. Not going to be helpful here for the side of Giglioletti. As the last defenders all holding on to the same side of the map. The serial laser gates will still be in place to stop some of that initial movement to come through. So are the gas canisters from Riddick that are being tossed into position as well. And with 28 seconds left, it's kind of just a waiting game right now. Where are they going to be pushing in from as stunts come out from the lifeline? Ranker finds himself picked up as well. With 15 seconds, that plant needs to hit the board sooner rather than later. And that's exactly what what is happening right now. Sophia trying to get onto that defuse. Is the cover on point? Is the question. At least so far it is a 1v2 into a 1v none. Giglioletti able to find round number 8, keeping us equalized on the scoreboard.
Pretty clean attack there from Giglioletti, starting things off, having a good time there, clearing through the middle of the map there, using the decay calls to push these defenders back. I think that Maestresca's time management was pretty decent there, just unfortunately lost a few key gunfights in the wrong areas before it ultimately crumbled. But we've got a game on our hands, 4 each. We are starting off the day in a nice, fun fashion. Both these teams want to get to EML today.
They both want to get there, that's for sure. Like, it's the dream of these players. Like, if you're starting out as a competitive Siege player, of course, first, you know, you just grind your rank, you get better and better, you start to learn some people, like, get to know some people, you start going for some, like, tier 4, tier 5 tournaments. Eventually, you might even grow into, like, doing the tier 3 tournaments, and then, hey, you're doing Rumble, and tournaments like that. And from there on, your dream, of course, will be to win one of those tournaments. Eventually, will be to reach the European League. And it's exactly the step that these players are in for. Now, of course, we mentioned it before, there is quite a lot of EML experience already on the lineup today, if we speak about the players that are playing. But they're not in it anymore, and that's kind of the point. You want to get back there, you want to continue to compete, because by competing you can go to majors. By going to majors you could go to the 6th Invitational, and eventually that goal of every Siege player in the world is to lift that hammer. And it all starts in competitions like this.
It absolutely does. It's a very rousing speech, Hap, to get everybody to sign up for the open quals of Rumble the next few weeks if you want to start.
Play Rumble, raise the hammer. That's, you know, that's step 1 to step 1,000 at this
there
point.
You go.
But
a direct line. That is how you do it, you know. Just, you know, over a year ago, Jay was on Project X, playing fantastically, getting to Tier 2 Grand Finals and things like that. Now, it's only 1 game away from potentially ending up in EML, so it can be done. Absolutely can be done. Now, the first minute is already surpassed. Really, not a whole lot being done in terms of the attack side. They have managed to clear through some of the top 4. But they have got an important player to get rid of, and that is Jay on the Solace, that they have to root him out and find him. Also got Denster just playing on the hatch up off inside of bathroom. Jay still causing a nuisance of himself. He's got SMG-11, and as you say, it has that gun. It rings right through the map, and Riaz's head is ripped from his shoulders. At 5-4 in player count, they have the information on where Ranker is playing. This is going to be not fun, but he's got smoke so to deny the push, so it can be slowed down for now. Denster, really greatly done, killing off Lolo. Dora trying to sweep in and try and buy something back. Knows that Jay's on the other side of this room, just waiting for him to swing. Bit of a stalemate for a second here, Hap.
Yeah, great job from Denster actually there, because Lolo was about to barge in and take out Ranker. They have been spotting him for like minutes on that drone. Well, make a noise and you shall fall, as it is now a 2v5 situation. Zarami, his position is known, as Sandora able to find Evan. Will at least pick up 1 for his efforts, a second to be found, the SMG-33 as well. Still winnable at this point. Smoke canister not dealing the damage it needs to do, as Zarami will find 1 more as well, a 2v2. With 35 seconds left, champ, it's definitely doable here for the attack.
Certainly can be done, but unfortunately Dora is removed from the round. Ghost Riddick on the other end of that engagement. Zarami now attempting to get the plant down, but Jay is still up and kicking. The Solace can get the information on where he's going to go for it, but he doesn't even need it because the gun of Ghost Riddick is there, swinging out from behind. And Maestresca, they'll get themselves a defense here on Fortress.
Managed to put themselves up 5-4, so definitely getting closer towards that map point now. They have been absolutely dominating in the first 4 rounds of this matchup. Afterwards, Giglioletti was able to start putting up a little bit of pressure towards them. Now, with their second defensive round on their belt, looking to go for that third, push themselves to a map point. Again, the winner of this game, and this is only the first map out of potential 3, but the winner of this game will qualify themselves for EML in 2026. They'll go for the kickoff as well. The loser will have to play tomorrow for that final spot in EML against Secret Academy, who have made an upset happen really with Heretics being knocked out, the team that qualified from Tier 2 to 6th Invitational through the LCQs. And thus a lot on the line for these teams, but again, nothing fully lost if they don't take it here today.
Yeah. Still got that as well, and I think that there's more pressure on Chalet than there is on Maestresca. You know, Chalet have, you know, for the last few years been running this full Italian project, and yes, they've had different players kind of folding in, they've promoted different people and tried different things, and they very much want to continue that going. So I do think that there's a bit more on this for them than what you see on Maestresca, because they've entered in this team that is a mix of different players who, you know, have been on different teams over the last few years, have, you know, played in different areas. I've seen, you know, Den and Jay playing on Nemesis and Mota just last year. You've seen obviously Ghost Riddick playing for Matchgo and EML last year, Evan on Wild, Ranker as well, of course, coming in, appeared on a couple of different rosters as well himself, so there's a bit less pressure on them, which is a bit more dangerous, because a bit more comfortable playing, you're not as on edge, you're just kind of playing your own game and having a bit of fun with it, and it seems so far that is what's allowing Maestresca to be in the lead too. We're now going to be facing down some more shield action from Lolo, who's just moving around on that top floor just to figure out where they want to go from. Dormitory wall has now been opened up. Drones have also followed through, so they can begin to take that portion of the map as most of the defence starts to fall away. You've got the Daemless as well, just to ensure that they get pinpoint accuracy on the information. It is Jay that's on the receiving end of that information, but for now we can't do anything with it, just feed it back to his teammates.
Drones rolling through, finding the info, been talking about it. Nothing really to be found here yet for that Twitch drone. I mean, like, there isn't that much really that you could go for, and Ranker will find the first. That is going to be the pickup to potentially put them towards 6. Whereas being taken out as well is going to be that heart breach removed off the board as Aki find himself up in kind of the middle of the map here. Bit of support, of course, from the windows outside. A grenade dealing quite a bit of damage towards Denser, but nothing quite detrimental yet. As these drones roll around the corner, that information, of course, will be known, but the Grismo out there is going to be providing some support, because as soon as they want to go for a swing, they will get staggered. They will get concussed. That means that he has a little bit of safety here in this spot.
Ranker getting himself a double inside of this round is eventually finished off. Dora goes to the first swing around the corner, but there's that Ella that you mentioned. Zarami's F2 finds the life of Denstar, and it's 3 versus 2 on the player count. Aqui and Dora now the last 2 attackers left up on their feet. Dora deciding to peel back for a second and just reassess before moving. That smoke covering the hallway for a bit. He's peeking it with the Reaper. There's a player potentially close by. There's the smoke as well, but there's Jay on the cover as well over the top through the bathroom. And Aqui now in a 1 versus 3 in front of him, but he is a player that absolutely has it within his capabilities to pull these rounds back and get himself big clutches, really big moments. But there's Jay to sweep it up for Maestresca. And Fortress gets his first attempt at a map win, and it's Maestresca that does it.
Yeah, they've put themselves up to a 6-4 as we head towards a tactical timeout now for Gigioletti. They need a little bit of time to talk because things have not quite been connecting in these last 2 rounds. Things slowly starting to slip away as this first map seems to be headed towards Maestresca's side. Of course, there's still 2 more maps after this, or at least one. Chalet first, giving you the opportunity to go for a bit of revenge. Push this over towards the 3rd, which would be Bank. But of course, you'll want to make sure that you take this first map. Both these teams want it. It is the first step into the EML. That first big step that they need to set.
Great performance so far from Ranker. You can see at the top there. You know, look at the leaderboard. Ranker having a great time. French, by the way. You didn't know that. In terms of, we've talked a lot about nationalities over the last 24 hours. Of course, Team Secret Academy, a full French roster. Gigioletti, a full Italian roster. This roster for Maestresca, you've got German, English, French, Irish, and Italian. So, a true European super team of nationalities.
It's always good to see that, like, just members from all countries being represented in these games.
Yeah.
So we've had, like, if you just look over the entire playoffs, like, there has been quite a bunch of nationalities. I think 15 in total.
Yeah. So we had a full Russian team as well. We also had our first full Ukrainian team in the form of UN, who were also featured and had a really, really good time. And there's a reality in which they could have potentially got through that Swiss stage, had a good performance, beating Turks and also beating Tense Pantera, but coming up short in a few of their other games, losing notably to Sapphire Skids and GGLA, but it just shows you just the spread of Europe right now in terms of, or even just like the whole region at all, EML, European, because it is European MENA as well, so quite a lot of different players from all over. And I do like seeing full stacks of nationalities. I like this, you know, because you can just imagine, you know, they're all coming in their native tongue, and it's like a nice little family, you know. I mean, I spoke to Magical a lot last year. Yeah. Magical were very much like a brotherhood last year. All 6 Italians just on their lonesome in England for the European Tier 2 Grand Finals last year, so it's really, really fun vibes that they bring. First minute already surpassed of this first match point. This is a bit of a funky hold here from Riaz. Got the track slingers just making sure no one can come up that ladder and now the staircase as well from behind them. You highlighted earlier about cutting these rotates and making sure that no one can come from behind. Ranker catching Zarami there. Striker dead and buried. Ranker having an absolute heater of a game so far, 14-9. What a fantastic start to this matchup.
Late reinforcement coming in as well right now, just making sure that the final dots are being put on the eyes. Aki's still up top, the keyboard bearers being removed slightly. There is no more banning opportunity after this, of course. They have to deal with these operators. Slowly but steadily, the push is coming to shove. They're getting themselves in a better position. Juggling going on. Don't know what the point was of rappelling up and then going back down. Maybe to make you think that you're 3 people rather than just 2 rappelling up. I don't know. Slight holes made there by the Maverick. It's going to be phantom pressure, you can almost say like that. As Lolo goes down and Aki is trying to move up the staircase, he might find himself actually a kill. He's trying to go for a second one as it's the yellow on the opposite side, but Evan steps over the railing, will find himself a kill and putting up his team a kill closer towards taking that first map. Dora taking down Ranker. Evan going quite low as well as Reyes is taking the fight from the outside. The pre-fires are happening on either side, but that diffuser is down. And with 20 seconds left, Cham, that is not looking great. We already see a big spread on that defense. They know what they have in their hands. And as Dora will find one more kill, they have to jump down upon them with the super shorty. Not working out. Dora, the last one standing, needing to find 2 in about 8 seconds. That grenade might do some of the work for him, but the last player is already too far gone, and with that Maestroesca, what? He was definitely going for that defuse. He almost had the opportunity, but the good halves come through, and Maestroesca, they take the first map into their hands.
Really, really well done from Maestroesca. They look comfortable, they look composed on Fortress. I said at the start, I thought, you know, they're a team that like to go to these kind of off maps, something a bit newer, a bit fresher. They like to bring out the layers, you know, they've brought out the Fortress here and it has worked in their favour because usually it just did not look comfortable at all. They didn't really look like they were getting to grips with that map. I think that Chalet will be a completely different story, but you just got to hand it to Maestroesca. They just played it really, really well.
Yeah, they played it really well indeed, and now they'll start preparing for that Chalet, which could be their ticket to the EML. That's what's at stake. But we'll be headed to a quick break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back shortly with map number 2.
Welcome back, everybody, to Challenger Series. Map number 1 is done and dusted. Fortress is behind us, so let's go through our highlights. Gonna crack on before we set you up for map number 2 of this series. Hopeful that we'll still get a 3-mapper today. Cham, would you like to discuss the beginnings of Maestro Eska's rise to power?
Yeah, again, a lot of people are surprised that they're here. I'm definitely surprised that they managed to do this. I'm surprised at how comfortable they've been looking on some of these maps, Getting onto Fortress and playing as well as they just did, playing out a 7-4 versus Chalet, who are a very established team, and looking good doing it is, it's a pretty big feat, actually. And I think that, yes, going into Chalet, it'll be a bit more balanced, because I think Chalet will be a bit more comfortable, but we've also got the aspect of they're now 1 map away from EML, Maestro Eska, and people brought in lots of questions coming into it, but I think they deserve it. How well they're playing right now. If they continue this through, the way that they're playing as a team together, having huge rounds, specifically Ranker having an absolutely massive map, but even Jay just popping up in that final round there, having a huge, I think it was maybe 3-4k that he got, holding onto that corner. You can see there, look at that, just holding in the corner. That's all he's doing. He's just trying to play for time, and he runs it all the way down and wins the map out for them. He eventually doors out of it. I did think that this diffuser did hit the deck just about in time, but let's see the timer.
It was just out, but
there's the half-second animation first before you actually get it down. Oh well. Speaking of feet, Hap, a lot of stomping has been going around from our Italian squad in here, but other than noise, that hasn't really translated into a victory, at least solid foothold. There's a lot of feet references today. I'm very sorry. That has not translated into a solid foothold in this game so far.
So we don't judge for your preferences there, Milosh. That's okay. You can use a lot of food references. We know we don't mind. But we're headed to Chalet now. Yes, and I mean, I just want to see a little bit of a different approach from them, because what we can write Fortress down to is, especially on those attacking rounds from Maestro Eska, they manage to get a kill. The defense either over-rotates or over-responds slightly, and they move into different angles at the very same time, leading into from 1 kill into 3 kills instantly within like 10 seconds or so. Chalet, of course, is a tight map as well. Like, a single step into the wrong direction can get yourself caught off early on, so I'm kind of hoping that Giglioletti is able to just keep their composure a little bit more on Chalet here, not overstep themselves as soon as something seems to be going wrong, because Maestro Eska was absolute maestro in punishing that as soon as it happened. So something to keep in mind.
Nice. Very good. Very good. Maestros in that way. Well, there's still the question of, will we get a map 3 or not? And Cham, yesterday we got the pick of the litter, really. Everything we would have wanted and more. There has to be a steeper level of competition between these two teams than we might have seen map 1, or maybe Fortress had alluded to. How do you see things going on in Chalet?
Let's go. You know what? Let's go for the traditional sense. Let's go for the stats and trends. Let's trust on the numbers for a sec. And literally, and we're going off one number, and that is the previous map scores that they played each other the last time. It was 7-4 on Chalet the last time these teams played. Giglioletti won. It was also 7-4 on Lair the last time they played in the second map. So the last time it was they won the first map, and then the other team won the first map. So, and they were the same scoreline. So if it's following that same trend, we're going for 7-4 here in favour of Giglioletti, and then we get a full overtime decider. That's what I'm hoping for. That's if it's the same trend as the last time.
That's copium right there.
What do you mean?
It's research-based copium. That's what it is. All right.
Listen, I used to be Statman Hap, and I was wrong many times in the stats. So I'm no longer trusting any of the numbers whatsoever.
It's almost like, as humans, we try to look for patterns in there, but the only pattern is really what we imagine in situations like this. And imagination has to be tossed out the window when the server is ready and set and ready to go, because it's all about action in here and not just theory. Maestro Eska and Giglioletti are ready to go. Will it end right here for the Italian squad that will go down to lower bracket, or will it be Maestro Eska pushed into a map 3 to defend their position? I'll leave it up to Champerine and Hap to narrate all the happenings for you. Have fun.
One more map for Maestro Esca. That is all is required for them to get into EML. Cannot understate how huge that is for this roster and this team, considering that within the last 6 to 8 weeks, they were not a roster. They weren't playing together. This has been put together on a last-minute whim of let's enter in these qualifiers. Let's see if we can get some action going. And now they could end up in EML. They could end up with a spot at the top.
Yeah, that's it. It's all coming down to this map, potentially, where they could be qualifying towards EML for the year, really elevating themselves. And, you know, we've been talking about it yesterday. Those were two teams that had org support, of course, already, Heretics and, of course, Secret Academy. But for these two, that's not the case yet. Like, not only does it mean that you would be getting into EML, it most likely will also mean that you will be getting org support, which just makes your life so much easier if you are competing for the highest levels. Think of like the coaches, support staff right behind it, the salary as well, you know, that's quite helpful. So it is quite literally a life-changing game, a life-changing map for these right now.
Well, I'm excited to see what is in store for us. I think that Chalet won't be giving up, though. I don't think they'll let Maestro Esca into EML without a fight. Attacker side, of course, for Chalet to start here. Bring on the gridlock, the Lion Deimos combination, make these defenders uncomfortable as Zarami now enters into the map. Westmain now covered off with some of those track stingers as he sweeps through the dining side now and goes on the hunt for some more action closer to the site. Baron Games, of course, is where we're at.
This lineup, though.
I like it.
Deimos, Lion, Gridlock, of course, to stop those flanks, and Twitch and Capito with a bit of utility. Like they're focused on kills. They're not trying to open any walls. No, they don't care. You just have to get in there, clear that top floor, and then afterwards put their attention towards the actual site itself.
Breather for a second, just as Gigioletti try to figure out exactly where they want to go for this. For now, Maestro Esca a bit more comfortable than they maybe would have thought at this stage in the round. Already halfway through, Denster still in position at the top of that Ivy staircase. With Evan playing out just next to jungle on at that bar doorway. Still a top 4 sweep for Gigioletti. Riaz stalling out a bit on piano, and this tends to be the case usually when you get to this stage. You want to get people rotated in to try and get rid of the player at the top of the staircase. That's what they're going to try and do, and they do manage to do just that. Denster pushed back for now as Ghost Riddick still holds onto that small box just on the top 4 there. Oh. There's a Aki just decides to step up there and get himself a grip to grips with sight. He's inside stock here. He's managed to take it out from underneath them, but Ranker from above, who's held onto the position inside a library, will slow that down before it can get away from them. Jay as well also getting in the action. Riaz and Wallow now the only 2 left up standing for Gigioletti. The Deimos at the very least will be able to feed back some information as it goes on the hunt to get intel onto Ghost Riddick. Also, Ranker's position betrayed by the E1D, but this is not looking good for Wallow. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and Riaz is the only one left alive here, Hap.
Yeah, this round is going to Maestro Esca's side, and for a while this actually could have gone Gigioletti's way. Aki had full side control. I think he overstepped a little bit there, Cham. He had Pantry under control. There's a mirror window in there. You can basically hold down the entire site from that point. So the only issue that you would have at that point is, of course, those who would be around inside of library. They can stop you from getting that plant down. But as soon as he stepped out, got shot in from underneath. And it's just a bit of a unfortunate series of events there, right? Because you had that full side control, and in the end, like it just kind of falls apart because he was trying to get rid of that library player. Might have been better suited if the rest of the team was taking care of that one, or at least putting up some extra pressure, because it seemed like it was just the sole focus of the player in library.
Strange round there from Gigioletti. Kind of a strange one. To like that Aki spotted that gap and tried to make something happen, but unfortunately not. Now, up to the top floor this time for Maestro Esca on that defense. And what has Evan decided to bring along this time? The good old Echo.
Yeah, deciding to go around with those yokai drones. We've seen them be quite useful in the previous matchup. And of course, they play their role everywhere. Now, I like it more when these yokais are used as a kind of active defense measure rather than a last-second ditch. Of course, that's where often round wins seem to be directly coming from. But when you're in those final 10, 15 seconds and you're on that drone whilst your team is holding up against a full-fledged attack, the extra gun would also be helpful. So that's why I like it more when they use the yokai drones early as a roam support tool. You know, just think of the person in library. Get an echo drone up there, support them for when that push is coming so they can get one free kill maybe before they can fall back. And, you know, you give your team an advantage in that direction.
Focus here from Dora on library. There is a player on that side at the top of the mezzanine staircase, but no active hold inside the library for the defence here from Maestro Esca. There's that echo drone that's just perusing around in there for now. Just trying to see if it can spy anybody moving in from that side. Dora just tossing in some flashbangs to try and sweep through some of that. There's actually a nade from Zarami that finds Denster. Zarami's also got himself another one at the same time as Ranker falls away. Just like that, quick 1-2 punch that opens the round up wide for Giglioletti.
Yeah, it's a lot of space that they managed to get out of this. The entire library is now just fallen in control of the attackers. Now, a lot of information is being given here by the Solace, some pings coming out from those outside on the balcony as well, but the issue is they don't have control of that library, and with that, that means that they actually spot set the player that's droning. Impact comes in afterwards, he's going to try and go for the chase, he's no longer there though. A little bit too late, drone spots him out, but at least now they know Jay's around the corner. 90 seconds left and the pressure now coming in from Solarium is going to be the next worry for the defense.
These echo drones are huge, getting so much information. Look at that, getting fed back. 2 players below that echo. Evan really not bothered about moving and getting his gun into the fray. Doesn't care. It's just like, yeah, I'm just going to set on these camps. Make sure I can stun anybody that requires stunning. Still knows the position of Riaz and Lolo. Jay takes a lick of damage inside of Piano as he pulls back. Opens up that castle barricade just to make sure he can rotate through. He knows there's a player now going to be on that rappel. Tries to take the gunfight, and unfortunately he's going to lose that one out. And just like that, the round just erupts. Giglioletti sweep it up and get themselves an attack here on Chalet.
Yeah, well done by them. It all started off with Zarami, of course, as well. Just getting that kill, instantly followed up with another grenade kill as well. Not even sure where that one landed in the end, but from there on, you just have such a big opening. The entire library side has fallen out of control. That means that with that, they can start putting pressure onto the piano and the bathroom window from the balconies, even start entering. So Solarium was falling. You can just see the play space gets smaller and smaller from there on. Whilst the Echo was trying its best to provide that support with those yokai drones to allow them to get that shield staggered, they weren't able to get the kill required to alleviate the pressure on the backside. Slowly but steadily, that just falls apart. So Maestresca, they lose that second round, but there's no men overboard. Chalet's a pretty 50-50 map, and I think a 3-3 split would be, you know, agreed upon by both teams, that would be a good side for them.
Yeah, I don't think that any team would be particularly angry about that. I think it'd be alright. We'll see, of course, if that is what comes to fruition. Now, in the next few minutes, Lolo on the Blackbeard, Thermite in the hands of Acqui here, and Riaz yet again wanting to hop on the Deimos. Dropping off the Lion this time, not as much play from him in this round. Library again, the focus here. Kitchen dining in the site on the other side. Sweep through the top of the map. Clear everybody. Destroy some of the floor. Plant. Something like that, Haps. That sound about right?
Yeah, it's usually what you want to do. You just want to get control of that top floor so the verticality is not coming back to haunt you. if you look at the dining site, the table is quite low. It's not really a safe space to plant behind. So you really need all your guns to be able to focus on the horizontal pressure. You need to make sure that kitchen and west main are both being watched so no one can pop up from right underneath and take out your diffuser planter. It's just difficult to do if you also have to worry about the top floor. So that's why it is often a top floor sweep. You want to make sure that no one's haunting you from up there, so you have the opportunity to just fully focus on the horizontal approach afterwards.
They're on the bottom floor though. Jay out on his lonesome on the Fenrir, being a nuisance. MP7 moving through the middle of the map. Looking to potentially rotate some of those FNATs around, but he's going to rotate himself up that west main staircase and return closer to site, and then move those FNATs around, get a little bit of juggling going on. He can't quite decide where he wants to put them though.
No, he's checking if there's someone out there. So like he's juggling to see if there's anything popping off, because then he instantly would know if there is a player on those positions. This is awkward with those castle barricades. Cannot move back. Loloda will be the one to fall first. That is going to give them the opportunity to play on the back of this man advantage and try and manipulate down to a round win.
Rapisto. Unfortunately, well, I say that, just as I say it, it's 3 versus 3 now. Quick 2-piece, Riaz falls and Ghost Riddick as well, also gone on either side. But damage done to Jay as he's prone beneath the breach. Truly going for the rat play here, right in the corner.
Oh.
I think he's very obvious where he is, and yeah, he's going to be caught. Door wise to that fact though, but Ranker swinging out onto the double window will find that quite bad damage done onto Zarami as he tries to pace through the middle of the site. Dora's the one that has the diffuser now, and will be attempting to get that down.
Oh, that's been red.
Spotted though, he's thinking about it, trying to find it. Here comes the Solace to be big. He's just trying to focus on where they're going to go for this defuse. This is going to be absolutely massive. They've managed to get a location on where Dora's going for it. You have to try and line it up through the hatch though. Ranker will get one. Dora's gone. Zarami's taking shots peppering in from above, but Denster closes it out. And Maestro Eska, they'll get their defense round on the board.
Yeah, well done there. They didn't need to swing through these hatches. All they had to do was wait for the moment that the Solace was able to pinpoint the actual planting position. And from there on, they secure it. And that's why you need to have that top floor. It's already difficult to plant as is. If you also have to worry about the top floor verticals to come through, it even becomes more impossible to get that diffuser down on the ground. So Maestreska, they will take the lead in this map once more. Already, of course, 1-0 up in the series. They are currently 5 rounds away from qualifying themselves to the EML. And with that, they'll also start to shake more, I guess. Like, every single round they progress as a round they get closer as a round that these jitters might start to play more. It's really up to them to make sure that that doesn't take over their skill, their flow, and everything associated to it.
How are you feeling so far, Hap?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good.
How are you feeling for prediction-wise?
I mean, the easy way would say that Maestreska is going to take it because they already have that first map, and they don't look to be shaking too much here. Like, that round they lost was when Zarami was able to pick up 2 big kills, and from there on, they kind of just got locked out. So as long as Maestreska isn't letting themselves get in these back foot positions this early on, they have been doing generally well, and I think that's the important takeaway here. For their side as well, that have been very reliable, so to say. And when Zarami was able to pick up those 2 kills very early on in quick succession, again, they were just basically banished towards the site, and there was nothing else they could have done at that point. So it's just a matter of time before you lose that round. So I feel good about Maestreska right now.
I'm inclined to agree with you as well. Maestreska just looking pretty good value for the money right now. Now though, work to be done on this top floor, bar gaming yet again where we are for the defense. Some work in office being attempted here. Ghost Riddick taking a bit of damage over on the library side. I've got Lolo on the Blackbeard to build pressure on that library double window. Ghost Riddick is eventually finished off.
Yeah,
Jay
well
rotates through the top floor.
So they relocated him with a grenade. That's basically what happened. He was forced to fall back slightly. That pushed him right into the line of sight of the player that was on the big window out there, I believe, or either the balcony window. I'm not quite sure where they managed to get that kill from. But that was a great grenade being tossed there. And it's funny with to see, you know, with all the magnets and all the ADSs around, that a grenade was still able to just force someone off their position and eventually get them killed.
Raptors are still holding on to Library, still in the corner and getting a bit more pressure starting to build, because this is a really important part that they have to try and remove. Remember, his performance here was absolutely instrumental in the last time. So, you know what, that's enough time. Minute 20, I can drop. Just goes away. Go back into stock now. Jay gets one on the board here for Maestro Eska, as Rhea has the one that's felled. Dora has a beautiful shot. Threads are right over the top of the bookcase into the skull of Denster. He's not quite well aware of his surroundings in that small box. Zarami's got another J this time falling. Evan also getting in on the action as Zarami immediately killed off. 2 versus 3 here. Ranker knows there's one on that piano door, so he knows that if you can get this one back, it becomes a 2 versus 2 suddenly. Evan's downstairs at the same time, but he's getting pressured from Lolo here with a Blackbeard. The double up on the top floor's left Evan in a 1 versus 3, which is not ideal whatsoever. 40 seconds. There is enough time here for Evan to try and work something out, but it's looking like it's more so going to be in the form of Gigioleti coming through this round.
Time like this is always in favor of the attackers. With like a 3v1, 40 seconds left on the clock, it gives them the opportunity to isolate that final player, or at least locate him and then act accordingly. So Avon, he needs to be slippery, he needs to be ready, he needs to take them down, but 2 of them swing the corner at the same time, and Gigioleti is able to find that round as a result as well. Well done to them as they secured themselves a second round. And that just kind of fell apart on that top floor there with that grenade as the starting factor, pushing the player off of the chimney play point. Killed from there. Other library players forced to fall back into different positions, and kind of just leaves a gap in your defense at that point. I think the second one is the rappel kill that we saw coming through over the top of the bookshelf. That one was quite detrimental as well, because it removed the player in the little connector part as well, which then basically removes any cover from the library corner player and the blue stairs player. And both of them will be on their own at that point. So well done there. 2 crucial picks that they managed to get, leading to that round win. To that next round. Again, a crucial one. Maestresca looking to find themselves that 3rd defensive round. Again, Chalet has been a bit more of a 50-50 map nowadays. Both attack and defense can do quite well, as a quick run out there from Renker is leaving them a little bit worried about cameras that might still be up, so the default cams afterwards quickly removed. Unable to find a kill or damage on the back of it, but sometimes making them worry is enough in those situations. The default cam being shot, the gridlock tracks are being set up on the west main stairs, 3 pieces of them, just to guarantee no one is coming up right behind Jeremy. He's playing inside of that kitchen dining area. He has so much room to play with here, and that is the only staircase that could be coming up from that basement to try and hunt him down. So the only other worry would be from them coming in from Solarium, but I think that's already under control from the attackers. Yes, it is, so no need to worry about that. At the 1minute 40 mark on this round, still not a single casualty, not a single bullet exchanged between any of these players. The top floor slowly but steadily starting to get under control of Gigioleti, but now the tough point, the shield on top of blue. The players inside of library, those need to be dealt with if you want to be headed for a bar or a gaming plant once more. And this time there is no pressure coming in from the library. That is what last time brought them a little bit of success. The grenade dancer dancing around them twice. The fire down below is keeping him at bay. He cannot quite move down. Another fireball being sent towards him. He is slowly slowly burning to a crisp as he's prone on the staircase, just barely keeping himself hidden from the attackers that are further up in the office. Riddick gets taken down first. Another Grismo is being tossed out as Jay realizes that pressure is now coming down from the library side. 50 seconds, still counting. E1D calling away that the rotations were coming through as Ranker gets picked up before finally the first trade comes in from the side of Maestroesca. As we are in a 3v4 situation, they are trying to figure out on the attack where this push needs to come to fruition. Jay take a small amount of damage as he's rotating out, actually taken down from the staircase through the wall by Aki. That is going to be a huge pick as they're now to a 2v4 situation. Evan holding tight, knows about one could be coming in from that area, but he's being shut down. He's been punished for it as well. Denster, the last man standing, takes out one for his efforts to know exactly where he's coming in from right now. He's pre-firing with that Scorpion, but down on 5 HP. The plant's right next to the B bomb chassis, and as he keeps firing, he will be hunted down by Reyes through the smoke, and the round will go to Gigioletti's way as they put themselves into 3.
It was my turn today now to have audio issues. Hap, it's my turn. I
figured out my issue. I'm still like so confused how that was a thing.
Yeah. I don't know if it's fixed mines, but some issues. But you know what? Again, Mercury, it's in retrograde, so we'll just blame that for all the tech issues that's been happening. It happens, right? Chalet, though, they are in the lead here on Chalet. 3-2 now on that attacking side. Really good going after Maestroesca had a pretty good start on Chalet on their defense. So we said earlier that it would be a pretty decent go of it if we ended up on a 3-3 half, and I think that's still the case from both teams, I think, here, if it does end up that way.
Yeah, they'll both be more than happy with it. Of course, Maestroesca, they would like to have themselves at a bigger scoreline than this. They would have preferred a 4-2 or a 5-1. Of course, same goes for Gigioletti, but that first map already being in their hands, again, it means that every single round they take, they progress a step closer towards the EML. And those jitters, they will start to come into play more and more. It might actually start hunting or hurting some of their performances at some point. Gigioletti, of course, they are already on the back foot right now. Probably under a little bit of less pressure. Of course, they are expected to be the favorites out here, considering the experience that's on that roster in Tier 1. But they're already a foot down. They're just trying to get to even footing first before they can even think about going to EML.
Seconds already surpassed here. And the drone's just getting in place. Every player assuring that they have info. You've got info on that roamer there, moving around. There's Jay that's out causing a ruckus, as is often the case for this team so far. Jay likes to get in amongst it and try and really get in their face space. Managed to return, he's managed to dodge his way through. They did have information on for a second there, but he's managed to get back up to top of the west main staircase at the very least, and they're now cutting off his rotate should he decide to go somewhere else. They have info on him downstairs. Again, he's dodge, duck, dive, dipping and weaving away. Aqui's information is gathered onto where Denstar is, and he tries to catch him through the floorboards. The Rami's caught Jay eventually. That cat and mouse does go through. Denstar goes for the drop, but is unfortunately cut off from elsewhere as Ghost Riddick gets a response and kills off Riaz, and now it's halfway through the round, and it's 4 versus 3 on the player count.
Yeah, well done there. Hunted out 2 of those roamers quite effectively, quite early on as well. Something to no longer have to worry about. Yokai drones still around, will be providing you with the information needed for Solarium, but I think the call has been made, or no, there's a second one out there, that they need the information elsewhere. Actually, no, that one is inside of Ivy, so there is no more information currently coming in from the side of Solarium. As rotations are being made, the Yokai drone was quickly checking if there is someone on the balcony outside, but it seems like Gigioletti is coming for a one-dimensional push. Coming in from the same direction, they're widening out a little bit now towards the balconies. With 45 seconds, of course, it's plenty of time to get themselves ready, but actually a big retake coming in from Evan right here. He's just decided to go aggressive. I'm not quite sure what the reason for this is. Because he loses his life. Those Yokai drones are nothing but a glorified Valkyrie camera right now as Ranker gets taken out. It's another kill to come through from Riddick, but he eventually gets shut down by Eki as well. That is a questionable retake. through Ivy towards Library at that point.
Yeah, just maybe potentially thought that there was a bit more of a gap than there actually was. Unfortunately, that does not work out. Chalet, they get themselves 4-2. Evan, you have info. There you go. Yeah. There you go. Immediately in the chat, Dora. Just giving it a little bit. I love it when teams get active in the old chat.
Yeah, you gotta keep talking. Try and get into their heads. It's all part of it.
Absolutely.
But well, it's a great half for Giglioletti here as they find themselves with 4 rounds on the attack. Now headed over towards the defense themselves, and this is when Maestreska has to show what they're worth, has to show their skill, their grit, as they need to continue pushing through before we head towards a map 3.
Absolutely. As usual, I did think that they would look a bit better on this map than they did on Fortress, and they have done that. Attacker side started off pretty well. Chalet is one of those maps though that exists in an ever-changing tug of war of whether it's is it defense, is it attack sided? That goes back and forward, back and forward. Depends what day you ask and who you ask. Which teams? What do you think, Apple? What way do you think this leans? This type of this map currently?
What do you mean?
Do you think it leans defender sided or leans attacker sided?
It's very 50-50 Chalet, which then often is classified as a bit more attack-sided than other maps. But I'd still say it's a 3-3 split is what you're usually looking at. Which would be enough right now for Giglioletti.
Yeah. And we begin on the second half of this map. Chalet already opened up a little bit of a gap for Giglioletti. Feeling a bit more comfortable so far. And Maestreska on their attacking side. Shields coming through, Evan on that. Seen it quite a few times already today. So no surprises that that's what's happening. What's Riddick hopping on the rappel, peering into dining, see if you can see if anyone's going to float past the middle of that map or just hold it. Any rotates that could potentially come through. You had Jay just moving in from the bar side at the same time. If anyone's going to push it from there, Ranker decides to drop off for a second. I don't know if he quite meant to drop off there, but that's fallen away. He's got the DMR on Capital, of course, quite recently added to his arsenal. For now, it's just prodding at this defense just to see where they can figure out. They've got quite a bit of control already established in the library and on the balcony. They're just waiting for Giglioletti to potentially move, really.
It's kind of what happened to them, right? Like they got pushed around, they moved, and they found themselves picked up by the guns of Giglioletti, and I think they might be trying to do the same, just trying to put up a bit of pressure, see if they can target anybody, take them out. As a result, as Lolo is being targeted there, he's known to be in that basement. Avan is going on the hunt. This call will be made. They're going to tell him exactly where he's pushing through, but Aki will take down Denster first. That's going to be your heart breach off the board. It's a great first pick as the blitz is looking to come around the corner. Hey, look at that. There's right. Someone behind the shield. Smoke canisters are being detonated as well. He has to be careful for the opening in the office as well to not show too much of his head, as Ranker on the window is going to be missing the opportunity of taking down Reyes. That means he can now start focusing on the site itself, or maybe the bathroom window if he's feeling cheeky. Just moving about slowly, steadily. As we continue onwards, 45 seconds left. There's not a lot of time to get done what needs to be done. Ranker though gets the very first. Avan take a small amount of damage. A team kill with the fire not going to be helpful before Reyes strikes back. He's on 1 HP though. Evan insight to sight, looking to get that plan down on the ground. Shield reversed on his back as Riddick will be providing support. So does Jay. It is only up to Lolo now, and that diffuser is down on the ground. He will get the kill. He's taking a small amount of damage from his own fire. There's 40 seconds now counting. He needs to find two. One is outside. Gets the hipfire headshot on the prone. Amazing shot as he's being hunted down by the Deimos. Deimos will get absolute up-to-date pings, live pings on where he is. And as the chase is on, he deactivates it. Lolo! clutches it out with the drop shots, and will be in time to go for the counter defuse. Wins the round for Giglioletti in a 1v3. And I'm just going to say, at some point, it's better to do nothing rather than take the fight, champ.
Yep, sometimes it is, but in these moments, sometimes you just want to move. Unfortunate there for Maestro Esca. Really, really well played from Lolo, though. You see the all chat exploding there as both teams are now starting to come to a head. Which is understandable on this level. This is a huge map, biggest map that some of these players have played in their careers. An attempt to go through. Really should have been one out there for Maestro Esca, to be fair. This is outrageous winning that on the prone peak. Twice in a row he gets both of them. Shows a bit of intelligence there. Oh, just to outwit his opponents. Giglioletti now open up the breathing space a bit more on Chalet. 3 rounds deficit now that Maestro Esca have to try and close down, and Giglioletti are closing in, potentially making this map theirs and getting us all the way to bank, which would be an absolute heater of a map to decide this on. And I do really want to see all 3 maps today.
These teams, whilst they don't want to, well, at least Giglioletti wants to, they would love to play that map. It is when they have to be on their best, because it is quite literally a first to 7 to qualify to EML. And again, Maestro Esca still 5 rounds away from getting themselves towards the EML. But if they don't manage to take this next round, that round deficit will start to grow up, as in then they need 8 to get through. So 6 rounds. And if they then lose out the game, we're starting over from the beginning again on that final map. And Maestro Esca, of course, having won that very first map, Fortress, it looked amazing when they were on their attacks. Everything was just basically moving in the direction they wanted it to go. They put up a little bit of pressure here, and they managed to get the result on the other side of the map as Ghost, Riddick, and Lolo both pick up a kill. 1-for-1 trades, flashbangs being sent out. They're looking to go aggressive. Zeremy take a small amount of damage as well. The first minute has passed. They are aware of someone playing around on the bathroom doorway as Evan loses his life. I believe that was by Zeremy out and about in that area. And as the smoke canisters are being sent back, a double kill from Jay is basically turning the tide yet once more.
Riaz is absorbing some pressure. He turns his back for a second just at the wrong time as he moved into that closet. Tries to step back out and take a gunfight, but he's been covered off from either side. Tracer's coming through the wall. He's just absorbing so much pressure. He doesn't manage to somehow get out of dodge, but there's Acme down on the bottom floor trying to fight back something for Giglioletti. Trophy being that focus. So just start to bear down onto the site. The Deimos track coming through onto Jay. Not comfortable at all for the defense here, Hap, is it?
No, definitely not. At least they still have a triple Kapkan trap on a single door. That could potentially provide them with some support as Riddick finds one. Bringing it back to a 3-1 situation. This needs to be a massive clutch for McKee to make sure that they are going towards the map point. But the track comes through. They're going to be aware. Grenades are being tossed down below as well. The pings will be hot as he's getting pressure from the side itself, from the back of Trophy, and from above. It will be shut down, and with that Maestro Esca, they find themselves around. It takes a while, but they've managed to put one on the board yet once more. Now to 4 away from EML.
Big fan of it. Riaz continuing to chat whilst also losing the round. That's how you do it, right? If you're going to get loud in the chat, you keep doing it even when you're down, right? You keep it going.
Never stop.
Maestro Esca. Never stop, exactly, that's it. That is exactly it. 3 rounds now is the deficit. They've managed to close it by 1, but still Giglioletti in control of this game. And Baron Gaming is where they're heading for their defense here. You've got the Denari, Aruni, Thorn. Lots of traps to get through, lots of utility to try and burn away. Riaz is wanting to bring a Warden again, and Dora bringing along a little bit of denial. So why not? I love a bit of smoke action, eh?
Love me some smoke. Now, we've seen this revolve a lot around that top floor, around library. On the previous rounds that we've seen. Naki was on the attack, actually managed to take control of the site at some point. Sadly, didn't result into a round win. And with that, it's now 3-5. Oh! That is painful. Repelling in, losing the head like that. Reyes wasn't even sure what happened there. He probably just pre-fired for the game, for the fun of it. And as he finds a second right now, the question marks will intensify. A huge pickup from him. The double kill. Could be securing themselves a 6th round on this half. Meaning that they would be headed towards a map point.
Yes. He's just continuing in the chat. Backing up with a couple of kills though, which is always good.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Reactivated in front of Evan, he knows that it's going to be difficult to hop in that window. Just love a nade, but want to use it on that. Let's use it something a bit more important. And we'll have expunged it. Lolo also expunges Ghost Riddick from the round, and it's 2 players for Maestro Esca to try and force something back into the round. Evan not having the greatest time here on Chalet so far will be swung out of this round as well. Akwi gets aggressive inside the mud, and Dora completes the flawless round for Gigiolette. Firmly in the driver's seat now as they secure themselves the first attempt at map point.
And with that, Reyes really starting to put up that pressure in that round. Just pre-firing twice, managing to find himself a kill through that. Getting him up to 6 rounds now. With that, Maestro Esca see their lead slipping. As it seems to be headed towards a map number 3 to decide, a bank to decide between these 2 teams. Which is going to be fighting into EML. The others, of course, will still have an opportunity. They will be playing tomorrow on their next chance of qualifying to EML. But we have no clue yet which of these 2 teams is going to be the one that has to play tomorrow, and which of these 2 teams is the one that will qualify today.
I don't know how I feel about this now. I don't know which team it is. I think Gigiolette are just starting to get too comfortable. But this is they are great on Chalet, and this is what happened the last time. You know, Maestro Esca just completely capitulated the last time on this map versus each other. So I'm not too surprised to see that happen, but I just hope this doesn't bleed into bank for them. If we do get there, I hope that we do get a competitive map. We don't see Maestro Esca going out with a whimper after what was a really great fortress from them, so... But the 2 new players for Gigiolette having a great performance so far. Reyes has had a last few peaks in the last few rounds, whereas Zarami has kept up the standard for the entire game. It's been really quite fantastic coming into this roster just before this competition, of course. And we begin first attempt at match point. You've got at least 3 to go for it for this map. And there's Reyes continuing to type in chat, continuing to try and get in the mind of Maestro Esca. Why not, you know?
I mean, he didn't do this last map, because they were probably losing at that point. Now they're feeling to get back into it. They feel like they have the opportunity to start flipping that momentum completely into their favor. And this round could be the deciding factor. Drones are being set up, middle of the site. They know kitchen's clear. They know dining is clear. That would mean no one on the site. Of course, that's not fully true. There is someone in games rotating back. It's the warden. Cannot just flash it and go for it. You see that the verticals in the meantime are being made as well to provide that support. Ella has returned as well. And they're getting themselves set up to go for some sort of push. The smoke bolts are coming through, which would indicate a push to come in reverse. A second one to be sent out as well. But the full attack seems to be coming in towards that top floor. They're trying to put on that pressure to make sure that the verticality is under their control. However, I believe Reyes is waiting in the corner of Piano. As they're opening up that window, he takes a little bit of damage. The smoke canisters are being popped, and the shield will chase him right afterwards. Evan going quite low, but a double kill to come through as Zarami comes in big. We'll find 2 for his efforts. Reyes will find 1 as well as Riddick will go down. It is only up to Ranker on the rappel, and he has a minute 10 left to try and clutch this out. His teammate, DBNO'd, on the balcony. He will be coming in for a recovery. He has that shotgun at the standby and will pick him up successfully. But with a minute left on the clock, the weaponry that is in their hands, the utility they still have available to them, it is going to be a tough fight, especially when Reyes is starting to show up this big near the end of this map. And Ghost Riddick, the last man standing, has been DBNO'd already on 20 HP. With 45 seconds, trying to salvage this round and thus this map for Maestreska. Losing this would mean we're headed towards bank. And as the chat is still going on, they're trying to get into their heads. The pre-fires give away the plays. They tell him exactly where he is. The run out is going to be on there. He spots the foot, but he has to be careful that the other windows will not be utilized. As once again, Reyes is trying to get into his head, and Aki will finally shut him down. Map 3 is upon us.
It absolutely is. Bank is going to be brought up in front to decide which team we are going to send to EML. It was relatively close. I said 7-4 for this map, but it's 7-3 that Gigliotti managed to close it out. They look fantastic doing so. They do deserve to get a bit loud in chat after that performance. They're having a fantastic map. Riaz starting to peak at the right time that they needed. But really, just comfortable overall. Maestreska, they had a good couple of rounds to start, and then they just couldn't really get anything else going after that.
No, for sure. And, at some point, Reyes started to go out, massive as well, just finding 2 kill after 2 kill, really starting to put out that pressure. Zarami as well, you mentioned it before, he managed to get quite some good kills. When everybody's just firing on all cylinders and you're struggling on that map, it is going to be tough to get more out of that than what they did. But lucky for them, they already had that first map under their belt, and that means this third map, Bank, will be decider, and we get to find out who goes to EML right after this break.
And welcome back, everybody. We promised you a map 3. By God, where we're going to give you that. But before we get into it, let's have a quick chat about our second map in the series. The comeback is real. The Italians are not letting this one run away from them, champ.
Yeah, definitely not. I didn't think that they would. I thought that after Fortress they would arrive and they would look a bit better. I wasn't expecting them to be as comfortable as what they were. Maestro really struggling and really kind of looking at times a little bit kind of erratic, not really having people in the right places. Or seeing, you know, they had a good start the first few rounds. I was like, okay, all right, looking pretty decent, but then from there it just couldn't get much going, and then it ends up on a 7-3 and a pretty comfortable one at that. I think maybe, you know, if that Lolo clutch had gone the other way, maybe that wouldn't have rattled them so much, because I think that did change the mentality the latter half of that game, because then Riaz started getting loud, and so did the rest of Chalet. They started really getting in the heads of Maestro Esca, and I think if they go back to the drawing board, reset the mental, and get back to doing this, because there's still a lot of pressure here on both, but now it's equal. Now it's on both teams for this map, because either one will be an EML after this bank game.
Yeah, I mean, the clutch definitely, the Lolo clutch, that is definitely, you know, gave them a little bit of a slap across the face, but I'm not sure if that was the deciding factor in the entire game out there. Like, in general, Gigioletti has been looking more comfortable on Chalet than what we saw from Maestro. So yeah. It is tough to call. It's basically the complete opposite from what we saw in Fortress, where the attacks, it's basically the same thing. The attacks from Maestro on Fortress had everybody just collapsing and overextending and reacting and then being picked up, and then the same just happened from Gigioletta. Like, they attacked, they managed to get a kill, everybody starts moving, and they pick up 2 or 3 more, and the rounds just go their direction. Like, it's just been like a mirror, basically, both in temperature and also in who has the better attacking half out there.
Well, things like, seems like things are really switching up through this heading into Chalet, but then into Bank are decider. Very much a merger of the two maps. The massive nature of Fortress combined with immediate aggression that you can have on Chalet, but you can also have in multiple spaces within Fortress. It seems like the perfect combination of the two maps, including the two play styles that we saw played out from both squads in these first two maps. I think we're going to get the perfect third map to cap off this series, to send our first team from Challenger Series into EML's first season of 2026. This is a huge momentous occasion for both of these teams. You both were talking about it during the cast itself. There's pressure that really starts mounting on you in positions like this, where you want to go back into Tier 1, as we saw with Gigliotti in their own way, and Maestro Esca that are looking to break through the glass ceiling that they didn't even know existed only a few months ago. And that's exactly the passion and what we expect here in Challenger Series of the European League. Though let's get into it. Our final map. Who gets to make it to EML in 2026 season? Chem Hap, take it away.
Well, to set the tone a bit here, Hap, before we get into Bank directly, I will say this right now, that Maestro Esca have not dropped a lot of maps at this entire event. They've only dropped maps to Gigliotti and Panahone. And Gigliotti, of course, is the team that they're playing right now. They've dropped Chalet twice, Clubhouse once, and they've dropped Bank, being the other map that they've lost in this competition, and that was to Panahone. However, Panahone are one of the best Bank teams that we have in Tier 2, and they did get to 8-6 in that game. So I'll let you decipher what's happening in that kind of run up. I think that Maestro Esca can have a good go at this after what was a pretty poor Chalet from them.
Yes, but right, like it isn't just, you know, the run of the mill anymore in terms of your maps, and there's just a lot more on the line right now. This is whether or not you will be qualifying to EML, or if you have to fight another game tomorrow against the French dev stack. I don't know, like, which I would prefer at this point. So it is going to be a back and forth between these two teams, or just a complete run over. And that will be very visible in the first 4 rounds, which kind of game we'll be having right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, bit of fuse action already on the docket. A little bit fun, I guess. Let's see that Aqua's going to have for this. I like a little bit of fuse on Bank. One of those maps
it's a very valid
call for it. Exactly. And we had this conversation yesterday. You know, we've had it a few times that, you know, most of the operators have a valid reason for being used, and Fuse does have a valid reason on bank,
like,
you know.
especially in this basement, like something a lot of people often run into when they're attacking is that you take a lot of time clearing out this top floor, you take a lot of time clearing out the ground floor, but after that you have operators like Smoke, Tachanka and Goyo that will still be active. Two of them, of course, they have to be alive to use their delay. The Goyo, of course, doesn't. And the Fuse, as soon as you can get your hands on one of those hatches on that first floor, which is of course one of the first steps you have to go through if you even want to attack this site, you can use those Fuse cluster charges to remove those Goyo pockets from the board. That's 30 seconds, if not more, that is just removed from the defenders in terms of stall. So that single cluster charge has a lot of value out here.
Does indeed. Evan inside of staff room or cafe or whatever you want to call it, kitchen, depending on which one you know, you fancy. Pick your poison as to which way you want to describe it. I haven't really seen someone use the colours on the actual map for staff room, but hey ho, Evan's dead now though. Anyway, as he tries to get out of that scenario, Zarami is the one to snatch onto that kill, and Giglioletti continue on, really starting to up the pressure, up the ante within this game, as Lolo now heads down to the bottom of the blue staircase to manage to flush out that position, and really wasn't really that much of a focus really from Maestro Esca, who are reserved into waiting inside of sight, using the Tachanka, using the combination with the Goyo and the Smoke. A lot of denial here, Hab.
Well, that's unfortunate.
It happens.
I believe they open. Now there comes a Fuse cluster charge. It's going to be sent through, and you see exactly what I meant. Like, it takes out those Goyo pockets. It's going to be removing about 30 to 40 seconds of stall that these defenders would have on the site. And now, of course, they'll be fully reliant on the smoke canisters and the Shumika launchers. And if I look at it like this, there might actually be a very small gap for Dora here to try and get a reverse planted. And those fire Shumikas, of course, are blurring the line of sight slightly, as well as the shield will get removed by a grenade. I'm just wondering if Dora is just going to try and get that planting backed in.
I'll have to try. Aqua goes for the drop as well on the other side. Where's Dora just trying to try and stick it through? Is there any denial to slow him off? No, I think it's going to go live. Yeah, there we go. Riaz has also dropped the elevator hatch on the other side. Aqua's got himself a kill onto Ghost Riddick. Ranker's on the deck, and now it's just Denster and Jay that have to try and combo together to win this one back and fight it back from the brink for Maestro Esca. Denster crossing through the middle of the site, somehow able to do that. Jay's got a lifeline as well because Aqua's gone, and Denster does manage to get back across to recover Ranker and make this back into a 3 versus 3. 20 seconds though. HP really dwindling on two members of Maestro Esca, and that diffuser has been covered as well. The wall's soft, Lolo's above, Dora's on the bottom of the blue staircase, and it's just Ranker now. He's back on his feet, but there's nothing he can do to stop Giglioletti from winning that round.
So, well done to them there. Again, I mentioned it before, that Fuse charge was just there to get rid of that initial fire in those tough spots. After that, the Tachanka Shumikas weren't actually placed properly. You saw right there that the Maverick, they managed to create a hole. They were looking at it, and it's like, that is a hole that he can just reverse into and plant without taking any damage, and was able to do so successfully as well. Of course, in the meantime, we had the Fuse dropping, getting the injury onto the Tachanka, and continuing onwards like that. So, well done by the side of Giglioletti. And Maestro Esca just kind of fell apart out there in the last final seconds of that round. They're still on it, and, yeah. You know, it already started with the bans. When Grim got banned, it's like, oh, too bad we don't play Grim.
Yeah.
On the attack, you know, it's just this is what you got to do at this point. And some people might say this is unsportsmanlike, but at the same time, it is just part of it. Mental warfare is 50% of Siege.
I don't believe it is unsportsmanlike. As long as it's within
boundaries
of, you know, like respectfulness, and, you know, they're not people throwing nasty things, and it's just.
They've called them coppers. I mean,
that could be the worst thing to be called, yeah, for some people. I'd only played a couple of games of ranked last season, and someone was calling me that in a chat, and I was like, well, I've only played 5 games. Can't physically be out of that. Dora on the Chalet though, on the rappel outside of Bank, is been the case a few times over this weekend. Chalet again does find a bit of a groove on this map, lots of lines of sight. There's a player directly on their left hand side that he has to be conscious of, but they do have information and they will know that Jay's swinging out with the shotgun in hand. They're going to wait on the upside down rappel and see if he goes for it again, continue to feed that information back, and I think he will know that there's a it looked as if he looked at it for a sec there, but
he's scanning. Or he's like, just shoot the clip for my YouTube video, you know? It's like, just record this from this POV, please.
Absolutely. Just holding out. This is a big stalemate. Jay's taking damage from below. They're trying to do work from down there. Really well done. Aqui with a buck upstairs, downstairs, finds the angle up through the beams as he knows exactly where he was.
My God, Reyes. he just keeps chatting. I don't know what he's doing. Like, is he on the drone whilst he's doing that? Like, he's just seeing it happen, providing live commentary in the chat. I'm not sure.
I love him. I also love the underrated well played there from Dora. He's just well played his own teammate. Incredulous stuff. But they have control here, and I say that Lolo's head is peeled from its shoulders as Evan will deal with one of the repelling operators, but Chalet now there to take up that mantle. Dora with the diffuser in pocket now as well. In a minute and 10 seconds, he is conscious that there could be someone flying out of these windows. Riaz is over towards that janitor side, and you can see the flashbangs streaming into that doorway to try and build the pressure. Aquis found himself a double. This time it's Denster that falls at his hands as he's now moved his way around towards that front desk area and moving around this big spiral and banana area. Ghost Riddick with a response at the very least will stop Giglioletti from running away for now. Zarami is the next one that leaves the round. Keep an eye on that rappel though, as Dora's still just out on that side. He knows he's there. The extended barrel betraying Rancor.
He's
just at the corner. Yeah, he just knows he's there. There you go, perfectly guided. Riaz gets him from the other side. Clinical on the information game. Evan wedged into a corner here. Ghost Riddick trying to return to the site at the top of the marble staircase, and we're down to 20 seconds as Dora now attempted to get that plan. Riaz has managed to bury Ghost, and now it's just Evan 1v3 in front of him. But Riaz, he's chatting in the chat constantly, but he's backing it up with the guns.
I was just waiting for the Riaz quote. Look, he sits so still. I'm sure he's on his keyboard. And he got flagged by Ubisoft. 2-0. I mean, it was great stuff there. They saw the player out there. The ping was coming through. He was just holding the exit whilst waiting for his teammate to finally get that kill. And that's 2-0 on the attack right now. Definitely seeming in control in these rounds. Having a better grasp of the map than Maestroesca. At this point, it is Giglioletti that is currently 5 rounds away from making it towards the EML. They are counting down. And they have that momentum behind them. They won the previous map quite convincingly. They got these first 2 rounds quite convincingly. All they need to do is continue building on that. Avon is hiding. Doesn't want him to know that there is a Cade on the board, because that would maybe urge them to pick a Thatcher or another EMP option. And he just wants to make sure that that quad wall will stay shut.
And he has successfully hidden it. No adjustments on the attacking lineup to accommodate for potentially spotting out that Kaid. No EMPs or anything like that. Plenty soft destruction though. Plenty hard breach as well. Got everything covered here. Other than
except the EMP.
Except EMPs. Exactly.
You could get a grenade over that wall, so it's not the end of the world, right? Like, there's other ways to deal with it. It just takes a little bit more to get it done. This is where sometimes you had the 300 IQ play of placing a electric claw underneath it, like from the floor below, and then placing one on the actual site itself.
Yeah.
So like they'd be focusing on the one on site. Once they get it, they just be like, oh no, we forgot about the one below. I mean, you're there shortly, but again, it's like 20-30 seconds of a single player that just has to go there to secure that electric claw.
First minute's already gone past. Still on drones though, still getting the information. Still gives the Rami on that rappel. Evan's taking a bit of damage. The KB call rings through. Everyone pausing to answer except from Evan, who isn't really caring because he's in the middle of the site. He's like, yeah, you know what, that's fine. This isn't an urgent call for me. Everyone else it might be. There's a C4 ripped sent up to the floorboards, but it won't find its mark. And the information is all also there on where Ghost was playing just below. Wallo's trying to open up enough of the floor above him to make it uncomfortable. We can't see the rotate now. To keep the barricade as well to try and plug that up for a second. Denster gets the opening pick of this round as Aqui's the one that is felled. Now they start to condense down here a little bit, Maestro-esque, as they start to pull back for now.
And there's definitely some information on the side of Giglioletti here. No, by the one on the blue stairs. Pretty much aware of that. There is some people around on the side as well, but verticalities are not giving them the opportunity to take those fights. And now maybe this means that they are going to be putting up the pressure onto the blue stairs player. Now there is some ways to deal with it. One would be to go for occasion. Okay, well that's not the way, Lolo. I was just going to say, like, you might want to go from two different directions if you know he's out there. But instead they decided to just go for the run in and hope for the best. It's not going to be the case. So congratulations, you've opened up the quad wall, but you cannot really move through it because you have someone around on the blue stairs. As Franker takes a small amount of damage, takes even more as he tries to hop in back. Zeremy gets taken down. Fire extinguisher blocking the line of sight slightly, but he's in a 4v1 situation now with 10 seconds left on the clock. There's no way he's going to be able to come out of this one alive, as he is exchanging shots left, right, and center. Will be taken out through the wall with the SMG-11. It's going to be the first round on the board for Maestro-esque.
Much better. Much better stuff from Maestro-esque. A lot cleaner on the defense there. Making sure they play in the right position, supporting one another. Giglioletti not quite able to get enough of the work done in time for it to be of consequence. Another ban phase to come through. Montaigne and Kaid taken away. Not too surprised to see that happen. If I'm being all that serious, Hap.
We've seen the Kaid removed.
Yeah, after that round.
Yeah. Understandable.
And you've also still got, you know, they're going to have to face down lockers as well. Makes it a bit easier for that. That castle.
Chunker this time.
Yeah, there's a different lineup here completely, actually. Going for something different. You know, a bit of a castle extension potentially somewhere. We'll see. We'll go for.
We still have the Goyo, and we still have the smoke out there. I actually like that Goyo pocket on the hatch, because that means that they need to blow it up before they detonate it, or when they detonate it, it blows up, and like, you're not able to instantly start challenging that hatch or start dropping through it. So it keeps them behind just a little bit longer on the attack. Now,
yeah,
you might also see this fun thing with the Syria laser gate. Yeah. So okay, the Syria laser gate is placed on top of the hatch with the Goyo pocket on it. Which means that first they burn the Goyo pocket, then the Syria laser gate activates. But they can also just, you know, keep it inactive from above by just standing on that desk, right? Like, and then as soon as they hear the heart breach go, they step off it and they manage to successfully trick a heart breach gadget.
Less focus on the denial this time as well for Maestro-esque. They've got a bit more of an extension. They've got that open area hatch opened up. They've got the castle as well from Evan, just making things a bit safer. Riaz is already at the top of the marble staircase though, being droned ahead. There is a player inside the elevator. You can see that Jay's that one. Also putting pressure on him. That wall will be opened up in front of him, but he's going to contest for just a second. Decides to drop away. Doesn't want to overstay his welcome for too long. Aqua's on the other side, just inside the lobby as well, there to support Riaz from the other side. Bearing down on square now is part of the focus here for Giglioletti. Not yet got control of open area. Still some presence there from the defence. There's fun mirror windows that await dealings inside of server. But they can't take server
to make it awkward, right? For Zeremy to try and open up. Like, heart breach gadgets I don't think are going to do the job, so they're going to have to. Actually, he doesn't have any Excaros left, so they're going to have to go and try and do with those heart breach gadgets still left in pocket for Dora. If they want to open that up, of course, they could also just decide to keep that wall shut because they have the direct line of sight. And here you go. See, so this is instantly going to get stepped away. Now he's going to be able to actually get it done. He's not even going to try and get the cluster charge on. That is questionable. Because that means a lot of square pockets in the site are still going to be active right now. Risky move to put it up like this, but manages to go and get those clusters out still. We'll be removing some of the other utilities still out there.
Yeah, they got the sense as well. We didn't really talk about all that much. It's going to go toss it right through the middle of the site, so it cuts all of the visual angles coming in from red. 45 seconds now is what we're down to, and they're trying to set up this plan. Not quite activating the sense. He's actually, I don't know if he meant to drop there. I don't think he meant to drop there. Ranker will give himself one for free. That's just up in air for the moment. It's like those sense light walls were not activated before it happened. Riaz is holding on the marble staircase before going down, but he is being held at the bottom there. Jay's the one that's looking over towards that side. They're going to have to just force it through with the shield. Dora's just going to head on through, see if he can get something going. They're ripping the C4, send it over the top. It's shot right out of the sky though. Ghost Riddick's going to kill off Dora. That's the shield gone, and that's the diffuser stranded in the middle of the site. They're just going to have to try and send it and see if they can do something. Lolo does recover it, but Ghost Riddick's there to sweep up, and I think unfortunately that's just an unfortunate mishap there, Hap.
That's super unfortunate. I don't know what happened out there. Like he was dropped down. I think that's just a misstep indeed, but he still had that ROU in his hands. I'm more like confused that he didn't just try and activate it in panic when, you know, like he was dropping down there. Just to give his team that little bit of extra, because now you set up for it, nothing is coming out of it. Which means that it was all for naught. And 2-2 equalizing up again. We're going back and forth. 2 rounds for Giglioletti and out 2 for Maestresca. And we continue for 2 more on this half before we go for the side swap. But it is even Stevens. Still in anyone's game. It's both of them trying to storm towards an EML qualification.
Getting closer and closer. Closer and closer. I'm just glad that both teams have got going on bank, you know? I'm glad this just isn't a complete blowout, you know? I was a little bit worried for Maestroesca coming off the back of Chalet. I just really thought there's potential here for the mental to be boomed here. But it's not. They've held strong. I do think that round there will really, really help, especially given that Giglioletti made a few errors. Unforced errors at that. Here comes Dora again on the Chalet. Opening up those windows, beginning the pressure. Just making it uncomfortable to move around inside the site without being contested. Queening from downstairs. You've got Lolo checking the drones to make sure that he can go in from there, be safe from it. Ghost Riddick contesting inside of stock. With Riaz on the other side of that engagement, just make sure to burn through some of those Surya gates. Zaramian also across there to support, open up that wall, beginning the pressure just outside that site. A head spotted for just a second, but not enough that Riaz can snatch onto a kill.
Those EMPs both caught up by the magnets. Kali opening up on the castle barricades as well. The first minute has passed, which means right now pressure starting to mount on the actual site itself. Kali's just getting rid of the keeper barrier. Still 3 in pocket for Jay though, so plenty of opportunity to continue his shenanigans on blocking off these sight lines. 90 seconds left. The building needs to be entered soon. Seems like one already on that main stairs looking to push up. We have stock currently under a little bit of pressure. The spiral staircase as part of the pressure to be bound as well, but Riddick is going to be able to find the first. Aki taken out is going to be the Dokkaebi off the board, but Trace is still continuing onwards as Dora finds one. Denster steps out from the elevator. Support is there, and Riddick as well, and Lolo last man standing in a 1v4 situation. A minute left on the clock, and where is he? On the rooftop. It's going to be a tough clutch for him, a tough situation. 3 of them on half HP, needing a single bullet from the gun that he's carrying. As he recovers that diffuser, the keeper barrier is going to be giving away the game of exactly where he's coming from. They know he's picked up that diffuser. They know one is on that long desk, but he's afraid of where it could be coming from. As long as on the desk, one is on his back. And Riddick just closes it off. They managed to take the lead yet once more.
Yeah, Maestro S got pretty comfortable in dealing with that 3-2-1 that came in from Giglioletti. It looked as though they'd done quite a bit of good work there, the Italians, making sure to open up everything. They had kind of lines of sight established. It looked as though, yeah, this is pretty good. They're going to send someone up the main stairs just on the count there, but wise to it, Maestro Escott knew that there was going to be a player coming up that main stairs, one coming up the spiral staircase, and the answer the call when it arrives. And now they have a lead here on Bank, and they're looking good for it as well. And I'm noticing something as well, Hap, that all chat's got a little bit quieter in recent times.
That's been quiet a little bit, yeah, because, I mean, momentum is just not going their way. Valkyrie out there was seen punching a door. It's going to be backing off, not going to stick around, I assume. Actually, don't know, still around. Okay, I was going to say, don't actually fully know where they've gone, and Aki's as well looking. So where is this Valkyrie?
No,
It's gone back up the stairs now. That's the drone gone as well. So that's actually an important bit of information that's gone.
Yeah, I know. But oh well, tried to keep it safe as long as possible. You know, the Mozzie combination. A classic, you know? A classic set piece. You know, it doesn't get as much respect as what it used to do. Oh, of the days of old when you seen SSG rolling it out on Clubhouse, you know? How times have changed, Hap, haven't they?
Seems like ages ago.
Open area, now the place of contest for the final defensive round for this half for Maestro Esca. You've got Evan on the mirror inside the site for now and a bit of a spread across the map. That will be plagued by some IQ play from Akwe, who's going to be on the hunt for some of those black eye cams that are dotted around the place, and any Mozzie pests that could be a nuisance to getting this information. I've got the mute as well, also spread out towards the teller's side. Archives and that is where they are. Mirror window spotted. The last time they were on this defence, they did go for the Cade setup and hide in the Cade, so it's good for something different this time. Of course, with the Cade being removed off. Riaz's still up on the roof. As Lolo begins his redecoration inside a janitor, opening up some of those floorboards.
Low pressure starting to rise with the attackers entering the building. Top floor getting under control now for the Calates, being watched. It's quite literally a Rez. You go, watch this flank, watch this rotation, whilst I go do my work of hammering down on the side itself. As the X-Cars are starting to pop, the cameras are being watched. They're trying to get a bit of information, but there's just not much more rather than the, okay, this hatch has just been opened up from those cameras. Lolo finding the very first. Reddick taking care of a great push onto that defense. As they're looking to make this an even split on the side of Giglioletti. The push slowly starting to take some fruition out here. You have Zarami close towards the side. He spotted out some legs there. Needs to actually be careful to not be seen because Azami's actually watching his direction. Reyes trying to force him out of that position by using that DMR phone calls. Potentially still beyond. The mirror window is being watched.
Another one for Akwe there. Denstar felled, and now it's 3 versus 5. The calls will come through. Everybody playing relatively close together now for the defence here. The flashbang's coming down, streaming through that hatch and streaming into sight. Giglioletti finish off with a flawless round on this half, on this attack. Amigo evens into the second half of this game. 3 apiece here on Bank.
The equal split. The second half will decide.
And then, so they went around and then they start again. Come on. I was complimenting them earlier about
how they've turned quiet. I'm just waiting for the all chat when Maestro Esca wins, because all the chatting that has been coming out of Giglioletti. Like, you just know that if you do that, that's all fair in game. But if you lose, be ready to receive tenfold of what you've just spewed out.
Yep, exactly. Band ringing through, of course. Cade, Clash taken off on the defensive side. And Montaigne and Grimm on the offensive. We head into the final official half of this game and of this qualifying match for EML. Just to remind you, Hap, just in case you forgot, my friend, this qualifies a team for EML. We are sending a team directly to EML right now, right this second, right this game. One of these teams will become an EML roster for this coming competitive year.
Blood on the line. And of course, as mentioned, the loser is not going to be restarting their journey throughout this year. They still have another shot tomorrow. They'll be playing Secret Academy for the final spot in EML. This is the advantage these two teams have because they've gone through the upper bracket. But it doesn't get better, right? Like, if you lose it out here today, you're going to be starting that game on a loss. Whereas Secret Academy, they're starting that game on a victory that they've just had under their belts, right? So this is your best opportunity to make sure you qualify for EML.
It is indeed, and right now both teams have an equal chance at doing just that. The score completely tied up in the first half. And now we begin Maestro Eska's attacking side. The Lion coming through. Denster's the one now that's picked up the mantle of the shield operator for this map. Blitz being of his choice. Open areas, of course, at the site that we are attacking down onto. Aqui extended out into archive side. Dora in sight for now, and the rest of the team roaming around. You can see Zarami will be down on the other side of the map. A lot of people on rappel right now, though. A lot of waiting around for Maestro Eska. Ranker's the one moving on to lobby side. I think that's what been the call there, though. There's a 3-2-1, and they're just going to go straight for it, actually. They're not going to bother with the top floor. Just going to send it right through archives instead and go right into the site, see if they can get something going. But there's Aqui managed to float in from one side and finish off Denstar. That's the shield gone. Dora trying to respond. Denstar being like, whoa, what's just happened there? I don't know how I've died to that. Jay, unfortunately, has hit the deck. Dora returns with a bit of passion. And here we go with the back and forward in the chat. Ranker's in a 1 versus 4. Technically, Jay's still on the deck. And they tried something, Maestro Eska, to get it going, but it's not worked, really. Riaz is now dead to rights. Ranker has to try and come up with a really big clutch, but he does have the Ash with an ACOG, so it is possible.
Oh, just a pure confusion what happened out there. For a second as well, it's like they were doing so well, right? They were putting up that pressure, but the defense was just like running away at the exact right timing to be just a step ahead of them out there. Jay will be recovered. The diffuser is still out cold. Injury onto Aki is going to bring things back into an effective 2v2 situation. Fire still out there though. Lolo looking through multiple walls to find a kill. Leaving only Jay alive right now. Grenade being tossed in. They know exactly where it's coming from as he opens up the wall as well. They know which direction they need to watch. That fire once again is being pinged as you cannot move through this direction because doing so will guarantee your demise. And as he moves through, he expected him closer than what he actually was. Dora gets that final kill. And around going over towards defenders here.
Yeah, bit of confusion at the start there. Maestro Eska tried to send it directly into the site and Denstar on the shield. A little bit bamboozled as to what happened in front of him. Or should I say next to him. Gigioleti, they get themselves their first defense here on bank after what looked like a bit of a chaotic round from Maestro Eska. But I like the attempt there, you know. They just tried to get it going there. I don't like that Gigioleti have immediately started getting loud again now that they're starting to win rounds and be a bit more comfortable.
Openings being made.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing about that DP gun. It just goes through anything. There is like no need for a shotgun when that gun's on the side because you can very accurately carve out whatever shapes you want to have to rotate through. I like that one. I think if you back into it, it's actually going to detonate, and then if you run further, the second one's going to go as well.
Yeah. A lot of traps. A lot of trippy traps to get through. Chalet start to feel a bit more comfortable on bank here. Starting to find that passion again after what was a bit of a ropey start here and there. Of course, we've already highlighted bottom floor hold. We've got Akwi upstairs as well alongside Riaz just inside of open area. So Evan at the top of square for now is going to be focusing on getting some hatches opened up. Habana, of course, so valuable for doing just that. Blue hatch being the first one to go. Zarami not really interested in contesting inside the server for that much longer. Quite happy just to let that be on a minute and head back on. Dora moving back into gold at the same time as Ghost Riddick thinks there's something. Could someone be coming up that blue staircase? But for the moment, no one's really bothered about doing that. Now, can get in and get comfortable inside of open area. That has been flushed out. Defenders have been pushed back and back and back. Now they can begin to actually start to figure out what they want to go for and execute here, Hap.
At a time slowly ticking away. The execute needing to be imminent. You see that the fire is currently still burning. There's soon to be another issue, which is the Shumika on Dora that is going to start blocking out the default lines of sight. There's still 2 nitrous cells as well they have to worry about. There is the razor blooms that will mean that they just have to step in and out of if they want to get rid of them. And this is just that issue. So much utility. And they haven't been able to get rid of it yet. Like, that razor bloom is being spotted, but there's more than just that one. There's 3 on the site that's just been hidden. There's a minute left. I think Denster might just decide to go for a bit of a drop down and just hope for the best here. He needs to secure red if they want to go for a plant.
So all of the Candelas in pocket though, so there's plenty use case for them later on. You've also got the death marks as well that can be used, so still plenty that the attack can get going, but they haven't been able to really weed out any of these positions and really make Giglioletti uncomfortable enough to start formulating something. But here it comes. All of the Candelas sitting in at exactly the same time. Zarami gets a massive 2-piece though. They tried to go for something. Denstar sends it. Evans on a defuse somewhere in the middle of side, trying to get something down. Jay's on the cover on the top floor. They almost get it, but Akwi has a C4 with Evans' name on it, and Lolo has a gun with Jay's on it. It's Giglioletti's round, and they open up another defense and a gap of 2 here on bank.
That means they are now starting to push into that EML territory. 2 more rounds. They find themselves. 2 more rounds. They find themselves being able to talk in the old chat in the email.
Yeah, brilliant from Dora. I think he does deserve that one because that was an interesting attempt at doing it.
It was an attempt.
Yep.
I mean, again, like, it took them a long while before they managed to actually deal with all the utility that was present on the site, right? And that's just what I literally called out during the prep phase. Like, hey, this is going to be an issue. Gotta deal with it. And it took too long. They have to go for pushes. They have to go for drops. Well, you saw what happened. Round quickly going out of favor of Maestroesca, and Giglioletti now 2 away from becoming an EML team yet once again for some of these players. Now, which organization do you think wants to pick them up if they manage to qualify?
Yeah, that is a question. That is a question. We'll see. We'll see, because we're only speculating this time, you know.
That's true.
I'm not quite sure what teams are still floating around. I know that there's been a few different chops and changes. So, and of course, as with all roster manias, we're only a few weeks away from EML starting, and obviously not many people have decided to announce their rosters yet. I like to keep them secret till the very last minute. There's also quite a few already kind of figured out as to where people are going. Now, top floor hold is what we've got in front of us. Riaz and focused on holding just outside the stock there, with Lolo over on that cantle wall side. Akwi on the solace down at the blue staircase. He is opting to move back a bit. Can't hold on to stock much longer as it heads to the top of that main staircase. Plenty of drones to get the information up. Plenty of intel to be gathered.
Sanchez just watching patiently, hoping that a little bit of a step out of bounds is coming in from the blue staircase, but Giglioletti, they have been looking in control. They have been looking controlled as well in their movements. Like, they're not making outrageous decisions or outrageous plays. Everything's very calculated. That's what they need to continue doing for these next couple minutes. Because in a minute 20, this round will end. And if they manage to take that one on their name, they are mapping series point with 3 opportunities of qualifying to EML. Again, no infinite overtime in these situations. So if this does go to a 6-6, it goes back to 3 rounds to decide which of these 2 teams makes it. Jay will find a very great first pick. That's going to be the Solace off the board as well. So a bit of plant denial gone off the board as well.
Yeah, they've taken quite a long time to do that though, a full 2 minutes to get rid of Acqui. They knew he was down that blue staircase, but he is gone now. And there's Ghost Riddick though, not really wanting to rest. He's going to finish off Dora, turning on a dime. Whoa, somehow wins that engagement onto Evan inside of Jannar, then immediately pops the Mira to put pressure onto the plan. We've got a swing right through the middle of the site. I have no idea how Zaramis managed to get away with that, but Jay on the cover from the far end, managing to get the cover down and done. Ghost Riddick cleaning it up there for Maestro Esca. It's scrappy, it's not clean, but the job is done nonetheless.
Yeah, that's the most important part. They needed to get that round on their belts, otherwise things were starting to look very bleak. And Giglioletti was able to sort of fight back into that by moving into the positions, but that put them into disadvantageous spots right afterwards, resulting, of course, in the pickups momentarily after. It's okay. It's doable. As Mira and Ying are the final bands to be made throughout this series. As we head back towards Stefan open area. Maestro Esca know what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to take another round victory. They're supposed to equalize this scoreline. Make sure that we're going all the way to 12 at least to figure out whether or not overtime is necessary or if a win will be scored by one of these 2 teams. But the longer this goes, the more the pressure will rise on these teams. And the higher the pressure, the more mistakes we'll start to see slipping as well.
That is the ultimate test. You know, can Giglioletti get it over the line if they do get to that series point in the next round? Again, all the pressure I think is still on them. You know, I think it's still, they're the expected team to win this. They're the team with the experience, the team with the established core. They should be strong favourites here, but Maestro Esca still not wanting to let them out of it. They've all got experience in high regard over the last few years in Tier 2. Now for the defence this time. Down to open area for the site hold this time. Evan again bringing the shields, happy to bring the blitz for the most part. Ghost Riddick on the ram this time, just ensuring that they can get that vertical play done a bit quicker. Riker out on repel for now. You've got Zarani also just on that front desk on the top floor. Abano getting the value of opening up these walls to Luke right along the top floor, right along the middle floor as well on these repels. First one spotted there, and he will get one. Zarami trying to cross away, trying to get away. Another one spotted as well at the same time. Can't quite react quick enough to take Lolo's head off, but he will be shot down. That's Riaz actually somewhere else. Ranker also getting one. This is just really expert, picking apart the defense here. Beautifully done so far for Maestro Esca, Hap.
And this just kind of feels like those fortress attacks, right? Where they manage to get one kill, the rotations start to come in, but everybody's in a position where they can catch those rotations off guard. And they bring it back towards a 5v2 situation. Now this one should be in the back. There should be no question possible whether or not that is going to be the case. This is literally only Aki against 5 of Maestro Esca. They haven't even had to put pressure towards the site yet, but it's about to come storming through that door as Evan, with that shield, is going to be rushing right on through. They know he's in printer, the cover is there, and a flawless round to equalize the score. Bring us to 5-5 is upon us. We will be seeing 12 rounds here, champ. We might even be headed towards an overtime situation to really find out which of these 2 teams wants it just that little bit more.
What a game we have in store here. equalise right up at the tail end of this. I said this before. I said, it goes, you know what? I think both of these maps are going to be close. We were meant to lose in Swiss. There you go. You got the C2 goal. Right, they're talking about Evan there. Evan, very much known for his prowess and guiding teams to brilliance, and so far he's been able to do that. Big from Ghost as well, by the way. 13-5 against his old teammates. He's been a vengeful spirit on their mind for the entire day so far. Got a bit of a point to prove after last year not having the most successful debut season in Tier 1, so pretty big stuff from him. But the tactical timeout there from Chalet, just have a little discussion for a second before we get back into this, because this is now the time. This is crunch time, Hap. This is where the rounds start to get very, very spicy indeed.
Back to basement, back to basics. Seeing some stall coming out once more with the Razor Blooms, the Shumikas, the Goyo Pockets, or Vulcan Canisters if we want to use the full gadget name. And my question is, how will Maestreska deal with this? Is that double? Okay.
So much storm over there. Oh, and the bomb chassis as well, why not?
That is guaranteed that if they go for a drop and try to plant right behind the bomb chassis, they're dead, man. There's no escaping that. There's no Twitch. There's no fuse. There's no other option to really take out all of that utility quickly.
4 nades though. 4 nades.
That is true. They can use those, but are you really going to toss that under the desk is kind of the question.
Exactly. Talk about having great aim. Try to throw those into the site. Although we can start to see the kind of picture being painted though. Of course, we've got the Sense, Capital, and the Blackbeard. So, it does give way for that execute that we've seen an attempt from Chalet earlier on. They didn't quite go their way after Akwi slipped through the hatch. So this time, we'll see if Maestreska can pull it off. Entering from Printer's side is Evan at the forefront of this push here. Nades it to the hatch just to see if anyone is going to be playing there. But no one is. They've managed to drop off in time. Tim is just going to make sure to double check absolutely everything. A walking drone. Yes, he has some drones at his feet as well. And you've got Jay on the other side just to condense down and ensure that anyone that was forced out of that room was cut off. But no one is there now. Server also not really a focus point for the defence. Now, to begin to bear down directly onto the site, hatches being opened up, angles being created, and now we get to see how they're going to try and surpass all of this utility. That's an unfortunate throw there from the ROU.
It's 4, it's fine.
That's alright.
I cannot reach that, can he? That's one of them, but there was 2 placed in that position, so
3 nades left.
Still gonna have to be careful. Yeah, still nades left, so that's a good thing for them. The Shumikas are as well still on the board though, so they need to put some pressure down onto that Tachanka. It seems like that might be coming down from Evan, but also the diffuser is in his pocket, so they might actually try and go a little bit aggressive around here. See, like they still gonna get rid of all these Razor Blooms. There we go. Grenade actually tossed under the desk. As I said, like, are you gonna actually do that? Yes, they are, to get rid of those Razor Blooms. So they're setting themselves up for a plan, but Evan is the one with the diffuser, and he was on main stairs a second ago.
Oh, they're all gone. They got all of the Thorn. They did eventually manage to get rid of them. They've got the light walls ready to go up, burning as much of this. There's still Shumika launchers though to get through. No C4s to worry about. Denster's got the opening pick as the Rami is the one that's killed off. Rancor trying to help his teammates now cover off things with the light walls. Evan drops the hatch at the same time, begins pressure directly onto the site. That C4 though that does come through. Unfortunately, the diffuser's going to be cold. This is going to be really difficult to claw this one back for Maestreska. They've tried it, but the denial seems to have been good from Giglioletti. Walls go back up again. Lifeline here as Denster gets himself a big kill onto Lolo, but it's just Denster on his own. Can he clutch it out? Huge clutch that he has to come up with. He'll get himself a triple. Has to ace for the round, but he's going to be too far away to actually go for the hunt. Sure, he can get far enough in to get a gunfight with one player, but probably going to be finished off. Giglioletti, he deal with the crashing waves, no problem at all. Like a lighthouse, they still stand strong.
It's a shame though, because they managed to find themselves in the middle of the side for such a long time. There's nothing really coming their way. The Tachanka Shumikas were kind of misplaced. There was an opportunity to go for the plant there, but they had it on the Blackbeard, and the Blackbeard dropped in from the hatch and decided to go aggressive through the doorway instead. That feels like a slight mistake on their end, not taking the full opportunity of that situation. And you know, when you lose that diffuser, you have to go and recover it. You see someone running towards it, and rather than picking it up and turning around, they take the fight to the person in the elevator who has been trimmed on that angle, has been waiting for it. So like they are going to be accurate. They are going to be there to take that fight and win that fight. So some slight mistakes there, costing them an opportunity of winning that round. And that means Giglioletti now finding themselves on map and series and EML points. They have only need of one more round in these next 3 minutes, and they find themselves qualified for the biggest league in Europe, which literally gives them access to all the big tournaments that take place throughout the year. And right now, it comes down to these next 3 minutes as the preparation phase ends. Either they win it or we go to overtime.
I certainly hope it's overtime. I want us to squeeze absolutely every single round out of this series before the day is done. The first and only game of EML today, so I'm hoping that we get to see every single round, just as a delightful point. I do want to go back and see that round at some point, because that C4 from Aqua, and see if it was in his pocket. I thought it was pre-placed. But anyway, into this round we go. 30 seconds gone, top floor hold. Legion making an appearance as well in the hands of Riaz this time. They've got the echo for Lolo on that denial. Some repels already established here from Ranker and Evan. The IQ of G just moving around the top alongside Denster. Trying to get each other into position. Try to peer down into the site, see what they can see in terms of the gadgets there for Jay on the roof. An EMP from Bulletproof. It's not often you get to see those, is it?
I like it when it's a Flores drone that's coming after it. Like, you kind of holding the camera at each other hostage at that point. Has to get it on cooldown. His flashbangs are starting to come on through. The Yokai drone has been spotted out. The attacker's trying to make this stick, but Evan goes down first. This is the first kill out of 5 they need to qualify for the EML. This Jay is trying to take the fight to the top of square. We have Ranker out and about on the rappel being slowed down. Things are slowly starting to slip out of their direction. 90 seconds. That's all they have, champ, to try and bring this to overtime.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult here for the attack to try and claw this back here. They've got that wall opened up, knowing they start to step in through top square. They've got both walls opened up. They've got so much angles into the site, but Giglioletti not wanting to move. They know that Maestro Esca have to play into them. They have to play through it. Denster, though, finds a really nice angle and threads the needle right into Aqua's head. That brings it back to 4-4, so it's very, very close. Still on a knife edge here, Hap.
This close. There's 50 seconds. 50 seconds to decide the career of these players. Either some of them are going to qualify for EML, the others will have to fight tomorrow for their opportunity at glory. And as these 35 seconds are now counting down, the attack is forced to make their moves. The drones are still rolling out. They're still gathering information. We have one on the rappel. The other 3 are near the top of square. The Yokai drones could play a crucial role here. They know about one near Banana that is being pinged out, but they will have to go through it. The phone calls are starting to ring through as Thora will find Denster as the first of the attackers to fall. The second follows shortly after as Ranker will find one for his return, but it's only up to Riddick now in a 1v2 and 7 seconds without a diffuser to play for. It is Giglioletti that will be making it towards the EML unless a miracle is performed, which is not the case. He goes off the diffuser and the Italian squad is qualifying themselves for the main tournament, the main league inside of Europe.
A new Italian sun rises. They take one singular off-season off before they return back to the top flight. Yes, they have a slightly different roster this time. Zarami getting the MVP at the end of the day there. Had an absolutely fantastic event so far. Riaz as well. And that means that Giglioletti are the team that they go through to EML. And we'll see, of course, how the Italians fare this time around.
Incredible game from them there. The resilience shown as well shows that it is deserved that they qualify for EML. Maestro doesn't have to be too scared though. Like, it isn't that their year's over. They still have a game tomorrow against Secret Academy where they have an opportunity of qualifying themselves for EML as well. So that is how things are. Giglioletti, an amazing game from them. They played absolutely stunning. They knew exactly what to do at what given time, Cham.
Yeah, exactly. Just fantastic stuff from them, and congratulations to them getting up and getting qualified yet again. They don't take too much time off before they get back to work. Maestro Eska, of course, though, will have that extra chance tomorrow. But we will go to a very short break before we are back with a little word from one of the teams.
Welcome back, friends. My God, it is Forza Italia all day, every day. What we're getting here, they're back in it in their own little different form. We've had it confirmed. God knows what sort of I guess, organization is going to be picking up the Italian squadra in their run now in EML, but it is done and dusted. Gigliotti make it to EML, Cham.
Yeah, they do, and I said it in the cast. You know, they didn't take a whole lot of time off. You know, yes, they were the team that got demoted last time. Now they're back up. Imagine the fight back end. It just shows you how, you know, kind of close to that kind of the bottom to the kind of top of tier 2 and bottom of the EML is just really not much between each team. But it's nice to see the Italians back in a full roster, different iterations, some new players as well, getting their first stab at tier 1. You know, you've got Riaz and Zarami coming in, and I'm excited to see what this roster can come up. I'm also excited that Hybrid came back as well after, you know, taking a few months off. We were kind of laughing just in the break, but I'm just excited.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because we're going to have a chat to the one and only Hybrid in just a moment here. Again, Gigliotti qualified for EML 2026, but for Maestro Esca fans out there, their run is not done just yet. They'll be playing Secret Academy tomorrow. We were following Secret Academy yesterday. We had 2 games where we followed them against Certified Skids and against Team Heretics, and they looked incredible through both of those incredibly tight matches. Tomorrow proves to be, or at least hopefully can prove to be, a wonderful day of competition where either one of the 2 teams will absolutely deserve their spot in EML. Many teams would not have, or many fans out there would not have expected the squads that we have to be in the spots that they're in right now and so close to qualification. However, let's have a little chat to celebrate all together. We've taken out the Prosecco here for Hybrid, who's joining us on interview. Congratulations, Hybrid. It's been a while. You look beautiful as ever. Last time we were chatting, it was your CAG days. Now the man has been brought out of the vaults, out of the Parmesan vaults, to have a chat, I guess, and to talk to us about this Italian team. What's the point of the squad? How are you doing?
Hi everybody. It's been some stressful weeks for everybody in the team. It was something that the guys, at least the core of this team, was already in EML last season. It was taken away from them unrightfully. I think they really deserved. They proved they deserved to stay last season in EML. Things with the orgs and whatever happened, so they had to requalify. They brought together these two youngsters. I have to say it's quite hard to manage these young lads that are really eager to show what they can prove. I've been used to more older players, Lollo, Dora, Acqui, that are really, they have the skill, but also know how important is also the mind. And with these new guys, Riz and Zarami, their raw talent is incredible, and they're working in their mentality, and really what they did today and what they did in the last weeks proved it. Really, congrats to the guys. They've been working for this for months, even before I joined them, and it's thanks to them if they reach this level. At the start when I joined, I said it's all a matter of really wanting something, the willpower that you want to invest in this, putting aside all the problems and focusing on the solutions. That's the most important thing.
They pulled it off.
Up and downs.
Yeah, they pulled it off.
Yeah.
I have a specific question, right? And it's because I've asked a few times, I've asked you guys over the last few years as to who is the person that is in charge of IGLing your team. Dora claims it sometimes. I've heard it was Ted the last time. They always fight over it. I want to know what is the iteration that you're going for this roster?
Now, to clear things out, the IGL is Acqui. I tell the guys,
okay,
give him the info, and you have to be the little soldiers of him. Whatever he tells you, commit together, and it will work out. So no. The IGL is Acqui, and I have to say I heard some IGLs, not all of them Italian IGLs, but for me, is one of the best, if not the best in Italy. So really, he's done an incredible job, but also very important that the guys follow him and how they've been playing. Sometimes doesn't work out because he can also mess up something, or something can go not exactly how we planned it. But what I tell them, if you stick together, you commit, it will work out.
Yeah, for me, my question to you is, of course, the biggest goal right now after losing the spot would be to requalify to EML. That's done. What is the next goal, the next step for this team for the coming year?
Obviously, we want to perform. We don't want to stay at the bottom areas of the EML. Obviously, we know that we still have to learn a lot, and EML is going to be very hard this year. But we know that we have potential to upset everybody that is in the league and fight for those spots in for the major. And then maybe I would say that the goal is to qualify and for the Esports World Cup later in the day. But future will tell. First of all, now will be has to be to put back ourselves on the work and on the grind, and know that we are not the big dogs, and that we will have to earn everything that comes now, with a lot of being humble in the process. So we'll see. Future will tell.
It is a big process to get through it. Hybrid, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations, and it's good to see you again. We hope you're doing well. If anything, today's a good day to celebrate. We'll leave you to that. Wish you a good rest of your day.
Thanks to everybody. See you guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you. And here we are, our first team qualified to EML Hap and Jam. We've done it. Let's take a look at our bracket real quick here, just to get through things and reiterate on what's happened, because there's still one more game that we will be covering tomorrow. Maestro Esca defeating multiple teams until hitting the brick wall that is Ziglioetti. And unfortunately for them, well, that mixed European squad of Maestro Esca is not able to break through the wall today. However, they still have a shot tomorrow. They'll be playing against Team Secret Academy, as Gigliotti has dropped to the lower bracket. And Secret Academy, a French squad led by the one and only Alems, who are fighting to get back into EML. There's a couple of names that you'll know from the French scene and from former EML teams, but the vast majority of it is, of course, younger gunners. And that's something we always love to see, that despite the years, there's always fresh blood that's really stepping it up there in EML. Getting things done. Though Hapcham, thank you very much for joining me yesterday and today. I believe that is your watch over EML Challenger Series done. Any final words you might have before we wrap things up?
Yeah, we're taking a nice little holiday. We will be going to the land of Siege after this for tomorrow, so we quickly have to board our flight, otherwise we're not going to be in time.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. I'm just happy to be here. Happy that we've qualified some good teams, and I'm so excited for what's going to happen tomorrow.
Very much so. There's a lot of Siege action that's happening in these few days, and quite condensed, to say the least. Speaking of which, we have to wrap things up, because as we speak, that Land of Siege is kicking things off whilst Hap and Cham get ready for their long flight all the way to Brazil. In the meantime, is Jazzman, Light Rose, and the one and only Fast Stan that is taking you through SAL. We're live here on the Challenger Series of the region right after us, so don't go anywhere. You'll have 24/7 coverage of Siege right here. We'll see you tomorrow for EML Challenger Series, the final team to qualify to EML. See you then.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Rainbow Rumble.
That's who you want as your opening pick. Doc dive around this bomb chassis, and he will win his one. Vaulting the catwalk on the side of Booster, but it's going to be a flurry of kill feed.
This is looking pretty good, but that good for Mercury.
Basically, it's passion,
Gets the diffuser down. Shed there with a covering angle as well as Jacques now removed. Got one back, but can't quite get away from it.
He gets the kill, and it's a 1v1 weapon.
It is siege, 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 isn't it?